What's going on? Gum Gum. What are you up to? Come here, Gum Gum. Come cuddle. Gum Gum. Gum Gum. What are you doing? Are you being a weirdo? Come here. Come here. Come here. Why are you being so weird? Hmm? Why are you being weird? Oh, no. Okay. What do you think of 160 milligrams test, first ever cycle? That's fine. I'd say most people should start with 20 milligrams test per day. That's right around, like, just slightly above. Practically the same thing.
You can easily get caught in a tough room. This is the last one here in the snake pit. Catch this purple in. They're instant death too, but you want to try to make sure to get that extra life. It will really help since you may die a lot of times here, and that will keep your life total the same. This part's also very difficult. You want to wait here on the right side and jump behind the gas and then jump up through the floor.
I don't know why he wouldn't have just destroyed the gas thing. It's kind of strange. A lot of the people who do the speedruns and shit for the game, it's like they don't know that you can do certain things. That last level's just so fucked. The level we're on now is fucked. Just start with test or test and HGH. Well, you can't even get HGH right now, so it doesn't matter, but like, it's fine to start with HGH too. It doesn't really matter. You just might have to take T4 thyroid hormone with the HGH. It does suppress T4. I had that problem.
Come back and the fight will continue. You won't have to start the boss over again. But you need to hit him, I think, about 21 times, and that will finish. Just hold down A and left as the stage begins, and you'll pop out of bounds. You'll see that the green area is like water, but the blue area is air. So just come down here and then come up into this pipe. It's possible to skip more, but it gets very difficult to do at this
Hold down left and A. That looks like you skip a lot doing that.
point. I do want to show you what we skipped here, so let's go back to the beginning. Make sure to duck. You don't want to
Might be better to just skip all that horse shit.
get hit by that electricity, and over here we can grab a propeller to slow our descent and go all the way to the left, then all the way to the right to avoid the spikes.
Hey, what's up VG? How long is the Battletoads game, like how many levels?
Kind of depends if you use a warp or not. I think it's like 8 levels or something. Battletoads for NES has 12 levels. Well, yeah, 12. You can skip some of the levels, though. There's a warp on level 1 to skip to the turbo tunnel. Then there's a warp on the turbo tunnel to skip to Surf City. And then there's a warp in the snake level that skips. So you can skip some levels. Thanks for the donation, Rick.
Down here we can duck to avoid this mechano droid's electricity that he shoots, and we need to take these guys seriously. They can do an attack that can kill us in a single hit. The path curves back around to the left here, and there's another mechano hiding behind the pink part in the foreground. Very sneaky. Come up here, we'll grab another propeller and then head all the way to the right, then the left, and then back to the right again to avoid the spikes, and we've arrived at our first checkpoint. Run to get ahead of this crazy cog, and then stay up against the wall here so that it doesn't hit you as it crashes into the water. You'll need to avoid those spikes as you drop down, and when you get to the end here, wait for it to come by and then jump over it. You'll want to get a running start at the beginning of this crazy cog section and jump to stay out of the water as much as possible. Make your way back up across the top and head over towards the wall so it doesn't hit you as you drop down. Hold left here, then right, and then we're going to hold left again and right again to avoid the spikes in this section, and we're going to hide out in this little corner while the cog comes through. This is a checkpoint.
What a load of horseshit. This is probably my least favorite level. This and the last level are pretty bad.
Take a second to get a feel for how your toad swims, and just because we're swimming doesn't mean that we can't fight, so you can still punch the enemies. When you jump out of the water here, you'll have a bit of exit velocity, which will help you get over the spikes. Avoid that Electra eel and take a big jump over that spike. Over here, there's another one of those mechano droids, so punch him, and then you just want to walk off the edge here to avoid that spike. Don't try to jump over it. This enemy is called a hammerfish, and if you just punch him, you could stun it. You can kill them if you punch them enough times, but it's not necessary to take out that hammerfish. Swim around these spikes. You don't want to use a lot of swim strokes, just a couple taps of the button will do it. And then you can quickly avoid the shark over here in this next section by swimming fast. So come up and swim fast. You can even go between those spikes, but that's probably an unnecessary risk.
This is like some bullshit.
We need to escape
I don't know if I
cog
ever
here,
figured
and that was a
out how to,
checkpoint as well.
like, get
Now
through
we're going to do a trick down here.
without getting fucked up.
Just swim off and then quickly swim up again.
How the fuck did he do that?
Now we're going to do a trick down here. Just swim off and then quickly swim up again.
Like, what the hell?
And you can get underneath the cog. I usually aim for the bottom pink pipe. That's where I'm trying to swim towards. And if you're behind the cog, this part is very easy. You can just take your time, make sure the cog stays ahead of you. We'll be able to easily get to the next checkpoint. So just swim behind the cog, and there it is. This is the last checkpoint in the stage. Now over here you want to punch this shark so you can grab the one up, and then you can use the propeller to float downwards here. Grabbing that one up each time if you die will save you a lot of lost lives. This rubber ducky is called a steelbeak, and he is extremely dangerous. It can kill you in a single hit. Take them seriously. This one I like to just jump over and then hurry to the right. There's another steelbeak over here which I will pummel with my fists until he flips over and then quickly jump past him. You do not want to mess around with those.
React to this.
Let me see.
If you're wondering how much we Americans have had to shell out for this disastrous war in Iran, don't worry. Well, you should worry because it's a big number, but don't worry, we have the facts and the numbers for you. Anna, what is it?
Why do they even bother playing this stupid fucking game? Like as if the US doesn't have a military budget.
Well, the number is actually a lot higher than what our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, testified before the House of Representatives. Now, we'll get to that in just a moment, but real quick, the data coming out of Brown University shows us just how much the war in Iran is costing the American people. And the numbers are super alarming. So not only have we provided Israel with $30 billion since October of 2023. Okay.
That's literally nothing. Like, oh my God, dude.
Okay. This pointless war against Iran, which we are, of
Pointless,
course,
yeah. Oh yeah, the pointless war preventing them from getting nuclear weapons. Okay.
fighting on behalf of Israel, has far surpassed what Pete Hegseth has to say. So let's take a look at what Pete Hegseth told Ro Khanna during this hearing, and then I'm going to reveal the number, which is not what Pete Hegseth is citing. Take a look.
You've testified that it was $25 billion in cost in terms of the munitions we used and what we paid for it. But when you add to that the damage that was done to our bases and today's dollars for buying replacement munitions and replacement aircrafts, what has the total cost been over the last 60 days?
That number right now reflects the total cost that we're seeing.
Including buying in today's dollar?
Roller on that.
And how much are you?
Munitions related to.
Because all the experts
in that Q&A is because he was lying and he knew it. In fact, that hearing took place in April, to be fair. According to an analysis done by Brown University, has costed our country over $113 billion.
Oh no, we could have been rich. I don't know how the hell they got to that figure. That sounds massively overinflated. The United States spent approximately $296 billion in World War II, which equates to roughly $4.1 trillion to $5.7 trillion today's money, depending on inflation metrics. So, when you're talking about large-scale wars, period, that doesn't sound so high, relatively speaking. I don't know, for 60 days... That's like this Brown University. It's some stupid bullshit woke fucking college. I know there was that aircraft that went down that's very expensive and hard to replace. That was like a refueling mistake. It wasn't even shot down. And I know there was like an F-16 or F-18 that was shot down. There's a few aircraft that were lost. But yeah, 113 billion still sounds a little inflated. For like, yeah, a couple months. I know there were a lot of munitions dropped, but still, like, there weren't that many aircraft lost. I don't know. It's Brown University, so it's like some dumb gay faggot college. Who the hell cares? I don't know what they think is reasonable to spend to prevent Iran from being the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism and having a nuclear weapon.
Those guys. This swimming section can be very difficult, but what you want to do is just take the time to kill off that hammerfish, and then you want to lure this shark back down to the floor where you killed the hammerfish, and you want to kill the shark down here in the same way. Make sure you give yourself enough space between you and the spikes to finish off the shark. Once the shark and the hammerfish are defeated, there will be no more enemies chasing you through this area, and it will be very, very easy. Now at the end, you want to stay on the left side so that you can jump over the steel beak there. Jump way over the steel beak, then grab a propeller and go to the left, then the right, left, to the right, to the left again, and then we're going to go all the way to the right, and we've made it to stage 10, the rat race. So there's an easy way and a
What a shitload of fuck, dude. That level is actually bullshit.
Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and in this video we're going to be discussing a somewhat strange discovery involving two of the most intriguing worlds in the solar system. The dwarf planet Pluto that you see spinning behind me, and the mysterious moon of Saturn referred to as Titan. And while these two bodies are billions of kilometers apart and occupy very different neighborhoods, in one of the recent studies, astronomers discovered a very peculiar spectral feature that seems to link them together, but more importantly, seems to be coming from something that we've never seen before and something that's basically unknown to modern science. And so here, using the incredible sensitivity of the James Webb Space Telescope, researchers detected a somewhat strange, unidentified substance on the surface of both of these worlds. And so in today's video, we're going to take a look at this discovery, speculate about what the substance might be, and why it matters for our understanding of the solar system, and of course, what this means for astronomy as a whole. But in order for all of this to make sense, let's I guess start with the actual discovery, and with what exactly scientists were able to see. And so here, a team led by Bruno Bizard from the Paris Observatory just published a study that you can find in the description. And here they were looking at the data coming from the James Webb, mostly focusing on two.
I can't even hear what the fuck this guy's saying. What a jackass. Has anybody made any dumb gay videos lately? Yeah, I know he made some faggot video about the enhanced games. Didn't really do anything else. Man, Paul Saladino is one of the most pathetic fucking beta males I've ever fucking seen in my life. I love how this guy is saying that he's interested in doing martial arts, and then he says he doesn't want to get big and strong because it would make him worse at martial arts. And then you see the best fighters in the UFC, like Cyril Gane and shit, and like pre-WADA, like Alistair Overeem and crap, where they're just fucking jacked as fuck. Like, what a loser. Fucking fag. Yeah, this is mostly just boring horseshit. It's all this shit is like anxiety brained, like dumb white girl shit. Where it's like, this brand of milk is worse than this brand of milk because it's made in this way and it could give you an allergy, like, you know what I mean? Or radio waves could be doing this and you got to turn your thing off. so weird too. Like, the majority of his audience are broke trailer trash fuckwits. And then he has like my top Airbnb health hacks in 2026. And this rich fuck is like going over in detail how he like fucking packs and travels when 99% of his dumb fuck retard like trailer trash audience can't really afford to do any of this fucking shit, and they just buy his like dumb $60, jars of supplements. Fucking hate Paul. What a dipshit. Noticed there's practically nothing but horse shit on YouTube at this point.
Propaganda with Mehdi Hassan is one of the most dangerous voices in Western media. He is an Islamist wolf in progressive sheep's clothing. I'm Oren, an Israeli fighting anti-Western propaganda with ground-level facts. Today, I'm exposing Mehdi Hassan, the perfect poster boy for the Islamist Progressive Alliance that is destroying Western civilization from within. This alliance between Islamists and progressive socialists is a bizarre partnership. Why? Because they agree on absolutely nothing. Socialists are secular. Islamists are deeply religious. Socialists claim women's rights are their top priority. The Muslim world is far from liberal. Socialists march for LGBTQ+ rights. Radical Islam brutally persecutes them. Ironically, everything the Western left hates about its own conservative right is 100 times worse in the Muslim societies they are now defending. So what actually connects them? One thing only: a shared hatred for the West and its values. And Mehdi works right in the middle of this, and he is an absolutely master at it. He creates hatred for the West and hatred for Israel by pretending to care about human rights. Mehdi follows a specific plan, the QBP. And if you don't know what the QBP is, that's fine, I just invented the term. It stands for the Qatari...
I'm not going to bother watching any Sverige videos because they're literally all the same. He just watches very long clips without giving any commentary. Here and there, he'll say, that's poison, that's unnatural, and then that's that. They're literally all the fucking same.
Blueprint. The Qatari blueprint is simple. Use the language of human rights, freedom, and progressiveness to attack Israel in the West, while completely ignoring the terrible human rights records of Muslim countries. Mehdi Hassan only cares about Gazans when he can blame Israel. Hamas tortures Gazans. You will never hear a single word about it from Mehdi. Before I give you some quick examples of the Qatari blueprint, please help me reach 500,000 subscribers. It is just one small click for you, but it means everything to me. Now, let's look at a few examples of the Qatari blueprint so you can spot the pattern yourself. The digital channel Al Jazeera Plus writes in its bio, Al Jazeera Plus is a unique digital news and storytelling project promoting human rights and equality, holding power to account, and amplifying voices of the powerless. Sounds amazing, right? But in reality, most of their videos are just attacking Israel and the United States. Look at how they reported on Keir Starmer's resignation in the United Kingdom. Of course, you won't hear a single word about the civil war in Yemen, where nearly 500,000 people have been killed. Or take the channel Double Down News, whose slogan is, serve the people, not the power. Sounds very nice, but their content is obsessive, Israel, Israel, Bibi, Bibi, Bibi. Serve the people. Apparently, women in Afghanistan under the Taliban don't count as people to them because this channel hasn't said a word about them. Then there is the channel Uncivilized, which describes itself as a space for people and places that have been underrepresented, silenced, or erased. But you won't hear them say that according to UN data, 85% of women in Egypt have gone through. Look it up, it's insane. Instead, the channel mostly shows anti-Israel propaganda. And that is exactly what Mehdi Hassan's new media company, Zeteo, looks like. Its official description promises a strong bias for the truth and an unwavering belief in the media's responsibility to the public. Unfiltered.
You know, I'm like fed up with these people being taken seriously. Like, this sort of shit just makes me convinced that society is just a bunch of dumb, retarded fucking chimpanzees. Like, ideally, I don't know how we do it, but benevolent dictatorship would be the way to go. Because, like, all the dumb fucking college kids and, like, retarded white women and shit, you know, voting for this nonsense and supporting people like Mehdi and fucking, what's his name, the Zoran Mamdani and shit, like... Yeah, democracy has clearly failed. We gave the wrong people the right to vote.
News, bold opinion. But the actual videos, anti-Israel, and anti-America. All of these channels are connected in some way to Qatar, a radical, anti-democratic Islamic dictatorship where there is no real freedom of speech. And Mehdi worked for Qatar-owned Al Jazeera for years. I wonder if Mehdi would ever dare to share his bold opinions on the streets of Doha. Mehdi and all the channels I mentioned are allowed to criticize Israel, of course. But look at the tactic. They don't call their channels, "We hate Israel in the West." Instead, they use progressive words to attack only Israel and the United States, while closing their eyes to what is happening in the Muslim world. A video about Arab slave trade in history, which lasted much longer and killed more people than the transatlantic slave trade, not a word. The fact that most Muslim countries are dark dictatorships, not a word. The attacks on Christians in the Middle East, not a word. The fact that 17 out of the 20 most dangerous countries in the world for LGBTQ people are Muslim, not a word. Pakistan kicked out over 1.5 million Afghan refugees back to the Taliban. Absolutely silence. And this isn't an accident. It is a plan. Qatar is the main financial and media backbone of the Muslim Brotherhood worldwide. In an internal Muslim Brotherhood document found in the US by the FBI, it says clearly, the Islamization of North America, Muslim Brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands in the hands of the believers. Qatar gives the money, the Muslim Brotherhood gives the ideology, and the Red-Green Alliance is the Trojan horse designed to weaken the West from within. Mehdi Hassan is the face of this project. Just a quick side note on how deep the damage goes. People talk a lot about how the Democratic Party in the United States has become anti-Israel, which is true, but it also became anti-America. Long-term polls by Gallup tracking national pride show a crazy stat. 20 years ago, over 90% of Democrats said they were proud to be American. Today, that number has dropped to a historic low at around 35%. This didn't happen by accident. China does it through algorithm and bots on TikTok, and Qatar does it by pouring billions of dollars into top US universities. Qatar is the biggest foreign donor to American colleges. Qatar isn't donating, it is buying power and using it to make American students hate their own country.
Yep.
They brainwashed the younger generation, constantly telling them that America is a bad, racist country. The result? a total collapse of national identity. They are trying to make Americans hate themselves, and the polls prove they are succeeding. And Hassan is a sharp debater. He knows exactly what to say, and more importantly, what not to say. He reminds me of what the British ambassador, Sir William White, once said about the Ottoman Sultan Abdul Hamid II. He has never been caught telling the truth. But Mehdi Hassan did tell his truth once. Of course, it was inside a mosque, because what you tell progressive on social media is very different from what you say inside a mosque. In that famous leaked video, he was caught comparing non-Muslims to animals and calling them non-believers.
Well, we lose the more high ground, we are different.
Yeah, and then he said, oh, that was like a while ago. I changed my stance. Oh, did you now? Yeah, sure.
From the rest of the non-Muslims, from the rest of those human beings who live their lives as animals, bending any rule to fulfill any desire.
The French Orientalist scholar laments. He once wrote that the Quran is not far from considering unbelief, disbelief, as an infirmity, as an illness, as a disease of the human mind. And of course, the kafir, the disbeliever, the atheist to remain deaf and stubborn to the teachings of Islam.
Did he get, like, stung in the mouth by a bee? It sounds like he, has a lisp.
Rational method of the Quran. They are described in the Quran as quote.
They're described in the Quran. Yeah, it's like he got stung by a bee and his, like, tongue swelled up or something.
A people of no intelligence, a lot of bad luck. A lot of no knowledge, a lot of no belief, and people of no intelligence. Because they are incapable of the intellectual effort it required to shake off those blind prejudices, to shake off those easy assumptions about this world, about the existence of God. In this respect, the Quran described the atheist as cattle.
If Yazid was not a kafir, then at the very minimum, he was a fasir, a transgressor, a breaker of Islamic laws, a corrupt individual, a tyrant, a killer, a drunkard, a dog lover, a music lover, a homosexual, a pedophile.
When that clip came out, he quickly apologized, claiming those were things he said 15 years ago when he was young. Sure, but Mehdi didn't actually change his ideas. He just changed his words. Now he defends LGBTQ rights and human rights, but only in the West, not in Muslim countries. He will never use the words infidels or kuffar in front of his progressive audience. Even more interesting, in a private letter he once sent to the editor of the conservative British newspaper, the Daily Mail, when he was trying to get a job there, he wrote that deep down he actually has many conservative views and is a big believer in the role of religion in public life. Yeah, right, the Islamic religion in a Western public life. I want to show you a classic example of how he changes history from a video he made against the host Bill Maher.
Bill Maher is a lot of things. Annoying, unfunny, misogynistic, Islamophobic, and of course, pro-Israel. The noted atheist is very, very pro the Jewish state.
Right from the first sentence, he does exactly what progressives love to do, name-calling and shaming. Bill Maher represents everything that used to be great about the Democratic Party. He loves America, he's pro-democracy, which doesn't exist in Muslim countries, and he's pro-women's rights, which also don't exist in Muslim countries. Watch how he sets up his argument.
They don't know shit. And their leaders are not standing up and saying, kids, you don't know what's going on here. Every war Israel has fought is a war of defense. Right. Every war, they were attacked first.
The kids don't know shit, Bill? Or is that you? Time for a debunking. Let's look at Israel's wars, because Israel's fought a lot of wars. But let's just take a look at 3 of the major ones.
Literally every single one of these was defensive. Is this guy out of his fucking mind? Like, this is psychotic.
Who started them?
Like he specifically picked the ones where it's like indisputable that it was defensive?
To anyone who doesn't know history,
what?
This sounds like a normal start. But if you know history, you notice the massive lie immediately. Why did Mehdi Hassan skip the biggest, most important, and the very first war, the 1948 war. He skipped it because Mehdi knows the truth, and the truth completely destroys his narrative. He knows that in 1948 there was no occupation and there were no settlements. There was only one thing, an existential war launched by the Arab leadership led by Amin al-Husseini, a man who collaborated with Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, openly calling the Arabs to exterminate every single Jew in the land of Israel and the Arab world. But because mentioning Nazi collaboration spoils Mehdi's progressive fairy tale, he just erased it.
By the way, notice how this guy says Arabs rise as one and fight for your sacred rights. Notice how he doesn't say Palestinians. You will not find any contemporary literature from the time, no quotes, nothing mentioning Palestinians must rise up against the Jews or Israel or whatever. That idea didn't exist. There was no Palestinian national identity, so they just kept referring to themselves as Arabs.
Spoils Mehdi's progressive fairy tale. He just erased 1948 and skipped straight to 1956. Now, did Israel start the Sinai campaign in 1956 with Britain and France? Yes, but Hassan forgets to tell you the context. Ever since Egyptian President Nasser took power, he said all the time that he wanted to destroy Israel. Egypt sent the Fadayun, terrorist groups in the 1950s that crossed into Israel to kill civilians, like the 1954 bus massacre where they murdered 12 passengers, including children. Israel went to war to stop this deadly threat on its borders. And by the way, after the war, the Fadayun terror network in Gaza was destroyed. Mehdi Hassan continues to twist history when he comes to the 1967 Six-Day War. He blames Israel, completely ignoring that Nasser kicked out the UN forces, put armies on the border, said he was going to wipe Israel off the map, and started an act of war by closing the Strait of Tiran to Israeli ships. Hassan also lies about Jordan. Israel sent clear message to King Hussein on June 5th, begging him to stay out of the fight. Jordan chose to open fire anyway, bombing Jerusalem and Tel Aviv that morning, and as a result, they lost the old city of Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria. He does the exact same thing with the first Lebanon war. Lebanon is a very sad story. Israel had zero border problem with it. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, that border was literally called the Good Fence. But because Lebanon was a weak country with a Christian majority, Islamists turned it into a base against Israel. First the PLO, then Syria, and today it is Iran.
And people like Dark Snovia say white people are degenerate.
He is white, and he is degenerate, but that doesn't mean white people in general are degenerate. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
And Hezbollah. Lebanon went from a Christian modern country to a failed Muslim state because of the exact same Islamists that Mehdi Hassan protects. As someone who actually knows history, I could go into a million more details and show you how Mehdi Hassan lies in every sentence. But I won't do that because that's exactly the trap. That's exactly where they want us, like defending ourselves, constantly explaining and apologizing. Instead of defending Israel, let's talk about Hassan and the root of the problem, because Hassan accidentally showed his true face in a video where he explains how to debate Zionists.
I have been debating hardcore Zionists, Israelis, supporters of Israel for years now, decades. And the conversation always comes back to one line, one phrase, one talking point. Do you or do you not support Israel's right to exist? You've all heard that line before, right? It's the go-to move. If you don't support Israel's right to exist, you're an extremist. You're an anti-Semite. You want to wipe Israel and millions of Israeli Jews off the map. Even many critics of Israel are often left frantically conceding, yes, of course I support Israel's right to exist.
I really want this guy to get kicked in the head by a really big, strong draft horse. His face annoys me, his eyebrows irritate me, his voice annoys me. Everything about him just irritates the shit out of me. I can't stand looking at him.
And if you don't know, you know now.
Watch many interviews with Mehdi Hassan, and pro-Israel debaters don't actually use this as a cheap trick. Hassan is acting like a kid who walks out of a store and starts yelling to everyone on the street. I didn't steal. Why would I steal? I have money. I didn't steal anything. By creating a whole tutorial video just to teach people how to avoid saying Israel has a right to exist, he is literally admitting to everyone that he wants the Jewish state gone. His arguments in that video are weak, and Nick Matau made a great response video to it. I will put the link in the description below.
Hello.
Nick is great. I hope to meet him someday.
Oh.
But let's look at the big picture.
Gum Gum's such a good kitty. Oh, yes. You want to hang out, Gum Gum? Yeah, I love relaxing with my cat. Oh, that's good. It's good relaxing with the cat. Ah. Kid Boo, don't need $2. Let me see.
That should come into America to work are Mexicans. Keep into this hemisphere. They're mostly Christians. But you start letting these other third worlders in here, now you start having issues because they won't assimilate to this culture. And the biggest issue when it comes to birth rate is the Muslims. Islam is a clear and present danger because of their birth rates. That's why. Lebanon in 1948 was about 70% Christian. And then when the Jews went into Palestine and turned into Israel, all those Muslim refugees flooded into Lebanon. And now, because those good Christians, those turned other cheek Christians, let them in, now Lebanon is a shithole in civil war constantly, getting bombed constantly because...
Yep. Anybody with any common sense knows to not let Muslims in, but... Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood has just paid a ton of money to gaslight everybody into thinking that's racist. Is that actually sharp?
That's become the leftist grift ever since. Okay, let me unfuck this. He starts with a difference in average test scores and then treats that like it's proof that black people are genetically less intelligent. Lower test score doesn't prove that someone scored lower because they're black. And it definitely doesn't prove the cause is genetic. And the only way that argument works is if you ignore every systemic condition that affects how people learn in the first place. You try learning.
Based on genetic data, a lot of black people are actually prone to having higher IQ than a lot of whites. That's just based on genetic data, though.
At 12 years old when you're hungry. Try studying while your home is dysfunctional.
Yeah, I know Nigerians, that's the case. There's a lot of like there's a lot more prevalence of like alleles that are responsible for high IQ among Nigerians, so the race IQ stuff is just fucking stupid.
Your school is underfunded, your neighborhood is unsafe, and your family is under constant financial stress. And then tell me those conditions.
Okay, that's just annoying.
Hassan could easily say, look, there are 50 plus Muslim majority countries in the world, and it is totally fine for there to be one single Jewish state. I have heavy criticism of its politics, but I don't argue against its right to exist. But he can't say that.
Why don't you debate Adar Weinreb? Why don't you go fuck yourself, retard? Like, I know who the fuck that is. Why don't you debate Jingle McSnigglehead? Like, fucking idiot. Panda donated $2. That's great.
Because he fundamentally hates the fact that Israel exists. Everything else, human rights, occupation, Gaza, is just a marketing tool to sell his ideas to progressives in the West. Hassan is obsessed. 70% of his content is about attacking Israel. Like, seriously, How many Muslims need to be killed by other Muslims around the world for Mehdi Hassan to care? 500,000 dead in Yemen, he doesn't have a single video on it. The mass deportation of 1.5 million Afghans from Pakistan, zero coverage. And we need to understand something. Hassan isn't even...
You've literally reacted to his videos. No, I haven't. Somebody sent me like one fucking video this guy made that I watched for like 8 seconds. And then I was like, oh, yeah, this guy's completely fucking unhinged. He's like the arch fiend of fucking pick-me Jews. It's a complete delusional whack job. Why the fuck would I bother? All this guy does is just deny blatant, obvious, like, fucking facts, and then just creates, like, stupid conspiracy theories about how, well, the Jews are just doing it that way so that it doesn't look like it's a genocide. 21st, I made $2. Did you enjoy seeing the girl on that? Yeah, great. It was wonderful.
I'm here with Trisha from Tarot and Astrology, and she's been so kind as to come in and give us a reading, a tarot reading. And so let's get right to it. What exactly is tarot, and how do you use it to predict one's future and all that jazz?
It's a lot of people are real psychic with it. I don't consider myself psychic. I consider myself very intuitive. A lot of people say I'm psychic, but that's
Dodo, donate $2.
I mean, I have a lot of feelings about colonialism. I'm actually Pakistani, so colonialism aside, it's nice to be wearing the England shirt. Even though I've lived in the US like almost half my life.
I'll never wear an America shirt.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. This shirt sucks.
Death to America.
Yeah, death to America. As the Iranians say.
Yeah, hell yeah. But not death to England?
No, because like England's already dead.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, he said it. Delcy has been acting president for 180 days because the Supreme Tribunal of Justice ruled that Maduro was temporarily absent after having been picked up by the USA. Constitution clearly states that this lasts maximum 180 days, deadline being passed. If they won't, regime violating their own constitution. Like that matters. What would you do if you saw someone with a laptop with a free Palestine sticker on it? Would you confront them? Well, I don't normally jump into the monkey cage when I'm at the zoo, so I don't know why I'd bother wasting my time with some retard. You're a fucking war criminal. Called out ex-Israeli soldiers vacationing in Vietnam.
Yeah, free Palestine. Yeah, in that you don't know.
That's nice. Dumb white bitch. Guy should have kicked her teeth out.
a big honor.
Would you like to get to it?
Yeah, and avert the negative pattern.
So I'm like a caged animal that needs to be set free to run wild, kind of.
Dude, she chews gum so loud.
Could be
All right. Well, thank you very much, Trisha, for coming in, and we appreciate everything you've done.
You can call me at 319. I live at Muscatine Avenue, apartment number 1. It's right across the street from Walgreens.
Well, thank you again for coming in. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Blessed be.
Thank you very much.
I'm very honored to have this opportunity.
It's the celebrity guy.
Dodo donated $2.
Махай, махай, наоборот.
Так там можно через окошко залезть. Вот.
I don't understand. So because he was waving at them? I don't get why why the hell did they react that way? Doge has officially been shut down. Yeah. Oh, this fucking retard.
Saw you about a month ago walking at Bondi. One of the last places I expected to see you. Couldn't say hi because I was driving. Looking like an absolute unit, mate.
Well, thank you. Hopefully I'll be able to visit Australia again soon. But thanks for the donation, Dehumanizer. I got a big kitty here. This is a really nice big kitty. I love this big kitty. He's so nice. Just so nice and good.
It seems to me like the haters still want to maintain being waiters at the table of success. Never thought I would see the day when a far left, ostensibly, someone who considers themselves to be a far left doxer and a center right liberal groiper doxer. You know, we got the third worldist doxers, third worldist groiper doxers, and we got the DNC groiper doxers coming together to dox into oblivion. Fantastic. Level 7 hype train, ladies and gentlemen. Love you, dude. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Level 7 hype train. Like, this is just such a microcosm of the absurdity of the world that we live in. A supposedly left-wing influencer is like going off about his Twitch hype train as he slanders someone further to his left with outright lies. Thank you so much, everyone, for
This is coming from the guy who literally is a known fucking crazy retarded liar.
donating to me, someone who's
Fuck cares what. Like, I just couldn't give two fucking shits, dude. Okay, that's also something I don't give a shit about. Um. I don't know what the fuck that is. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Guide to Wine with your guests Dudley Moore, Kelly LeBrock, Steven Seagal, Whoopi Goldberg, Herbie Hancock, Shelley Hack, Peter Weller, and Robert Loggia. With your host, one of the top wine authorities in the United States, winner of Switzerland's most difficult wine contest at age 21, and today, maitre d' of Spago Restaurant in Los Angeles, Bernard Erpicum.
What the fuck?
Bernard Erpicum.
The fuck was that?
Champagne.
Champagne, a wine of celebration, elegance, and dream. Only wines from the Champagne region of France can rightly bear the name Champagne. Each house of Champagne has a specific style, and you will have to find the one that you like.
Champagne or sparkling wine. Fresh, fruity, and bubbly.
This is so awkward.
You've done well.
I hope that was as good for you as it was for me.
I have a feeling it may have even been better.
Well, if you need your bottles opened, you know who to call.
Maybe I'll whistle.
You do know how to whistle, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Thank you all. Cheers, and cheers to you at home too. May you all enjoy wine as much as we do.
That was so fucking weird. Found Footage Fest has some good shit. Mm. Oh, wow. Tasmanian devils are nice. They're nice chumbushes. Ooh. That's interesting. Those cats are nice. Oh. Oh. Wow. Such a big kitty.
We have the most amazing deal of the day, which will blow you away at the end of the show. So stay tuned for this is the place to shop, this is the place to be. Dollar's Discount. Now come with me, I want to show you some unbelievable deals. Come on. Yeah, baby. And your Markel soft pack for that little tissue issue. Right down here, baby. Give me some love. Think of it, if you're going to the concert and you don't want to be lighting up cigarette lighters. You light these up, man. You'd be rocking with AC/DC. You'd be jamming, man. $3.99, $3.99, $3.99. $3.99. Easy, boys. It's Christmas. But here's your extendable SUV scraper. I was thinking the USB port. You're killing me. I'm computer port now. I got a porthole there, like a bottle of porthole. You're killing me, girls. The scrap hooker, $15 retail. Your cost $3.99 for Depends. Holy crap. Depends happens. Pot of gold! Hershey's pot of gold! We I need the chocolate because it's just not right without it. There is time. Hurry up, there's real time. It's unbelievable. Oh, phew, you smell that? It's Hershey time, baby. It's insane, Chelsea. It's insane. We have your elf style. Merry freaking Christmas, boys and girls. While supplies left. Whoo! Oh, it's Christmas all over. My heart is filled, baby. You need to bring more angels.
Agreed, they're nowhere near as scary as the Looney Tunes portrays them as.
In a carrot patch, and the next thing I know, I'm here. A minute. And what place? Octopuses, penguins, people. What's up, Doc? Salad. Hey.
Yeah, Tasmanian devils seem pretty nice. I wonder how easy they would be to domesticate.
There's a devil right there. This genetically diverse, healthy population here at Aussie Ark is going to ensure that the species is not lost.
Tasmanian devils are known for their powerful jaws and loud, eerie screams, which gave them their name. They are the largest carnivorous marsupials in the world, and they have a bite force strong enough to crush bones.
They're little, though.
These marsupials play a crucial role in their ecosystem by scavenging, which helps keep the environment clean and prevents the spread of diseases. For more nature content, please like and subscribe.
Yeah, I wonder if you can domesticate them.
I'm on a quest
So I've seen a lot of them that are like really cuddly.
to pet every animal, and today we have the Tasmanian devil. This one's located in Tasmania, but you probably got that from the name. We went to Devil's at Cradle Wildlife Sanctuary, located at Cradle Mountain. The drive to get to drinks and plan to release him back in the wild. You cannot. You can see how that Tiffany was so.
They're so nice and round and chumbushy.
This tiny creature hugging and gently sucking on a human hand is actually a baby
Look.
Tasmanian devil. In the wild,
Oh.
these nocturnal marsupials absolutely love hiding inside hollow logs and dark burrows to feel safe during the day. When it's time for a nap, they turn into total babies, clinging
Oh
tightly to
my
their
goodness. Look at that.
keepers and sucking on fingers.
These guys would be great. You can cuddle with them all day, and then at night they can scream and growl and howl all weird. Dodo, donate $2.
The British are the real pioneers of maritime empire because the Britons have this 360-degree moat. They're the only power in Europe that doesn't need to maintain a large standing army, because if Britain could maintain a competent navy, no army is going to reach British shores because they're going to be drowned at sea. So that Britain could take a weakness, its dependence on trade, and turn it to its strength. So the trade is going to finance the navy. It's going to protect both British homeland and some of the trade. And then Britain is going to be compounding wealth while its navy.
It's a shame they're endangered thanks to habitat loss and disease.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Neighbors are busy. The neighbors have to fund large armies that are going to be constantly fighting with each other and destroying wealth in the process. So while a navy could provide Britain with a prevent defeat strategy, i.e. no one's going to get to Britain, a navy's insufficient for a deliver victory strategy. It's not going to eliminate these continental problems. But if Britain can keep compounding wealth over time, and then its neighbors are busy destroying wealth at a rapid clip, then the difference in wealth is going to get larger, and in that sense, things will get better for Britain. The British are the real pioneers of maritime empire because the Britons have this 300.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Illegally.
Convicted Iraqi people smuggler opens a vape shop next door to a politician's office, driving around without a license, and is claiming asylum.
See, that's how they keep lying and make people of this country to hate immigrants from their lives.
People in this country want people smugglers who are convicted
No,
of
no,
really
okay,
serious
just come to me.
crimes.
Oh, who's doing serious crime?
You were doing
Me?
really.
Really? You're doing serious crimes without any evidence. You just come to me.
This is the man we're searching for, Twana Jamal. When he was jailed in France 10 years ago, police said he was the most successful smuggler in history. He made millions from the trade. We think Twana Jamal is claiming asylum in the UK. We've tracked him to here, a village high street outside Leicester, where he and his brother are running vape and sweet shops.
I've got eyes right on him now. Yeah, it's just been arranging the chairs.
There's nothing online that links Twana Jamal to any of the shops he's running.
Go to the photograph we took from TikTok.
So we need to identify him in person.
Look at that on his hand.
So it's like a tattoo?
It almost looks like a cannon pointing down. So he's had some work done on it, hasn't he, to cover it up. What's your name? Sultan. Sultan. Nice to meet you.
We think to claim asylum, he's just changed his surname. The Home Office says it carries out mandatory security checks to work out.
Oh, I know all about the, immigration shit where they say, oh, we do security checks and get biometric data and all this. Dude, it's arguably even worse in Canada than in the UK. They do not give two fucking shits. They just let in whoever the fuck. The only thing they do is if you're applying for a certain visa, they'll just check your bank account. So, there's certain standards for immigration for certain visas, and you have to have, a certain amount of money. That's all they do. Other than that, they don't check your fucking criminal record. They don't see if you're a member of a fucking terrorist organization. They'll figure all that out way, way after the fact. And then, they'll fucking make up excuses for why they let a terrorist into the country, and the Liberal government will help them sweep it all under the rug.
Who people are and to check for criminal backgrounds, but it doesn't say what checks it makes for security reasons.
It's our man. So I introduced myself. I shook his hand because I wanted to see his tattoo.
With everything we've learned, we watch and wait to choose our moment. I'm Sue Mitchell from BBC News.
Right.
Do the Home Office know your real identity, Twana Jamal?
Yes.
The Home Office know that you're a convicted people smuggler?
Smuggler?
Yeah.
I never.
The Twana Jamal we saw convicted in France in 2016.
Okay.
The courts in France estimate you were the most prolific people smuggler they'd come across.
Okay.
You earned more than £1 million.
What's the proof? What's the proof?
Every crime agency in Europe was searching for you.
Okay.
And you've not been granted.
Isn't that hilarious? This guy's like an internationally wanted fucking criminal and human trafficker, and then there he is in the UK with a smoke and vape shop. They just let him right in, didn't do any security checks. And then they'll gaslight you whenever you bring up, oh, they're just letting in immigrants without doing any fucking background checks on these people. It's just an open door. Oh, you're racist, you're anti-immigrant, xenophobic, there's proper security checks for immigration. Oh yeah, how do you explain this guy?
I wish Taz would eat these people.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Granted asylum in this country, have you?
So I'm still waiting.
Yeah, and you're here running a business.
No, I'm not running a business. This is not for my business.
No, I'm talking to you.
Right, talk to me. I'll be back. I'm not running away.
This is you in France.
That guy who put together 10 minutes of clips of you and redacted and making fun of things you said in the past and then showing clips with you and Pat to show the hypocrisy and idiocy is pure gold. He's doing God's work. I wish you'd watch the whole video.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. Thanks for the donation, dude.
I don't care. When was that?
2016, you know when that
2016,
was.
how many years ago? What
Right.
to do with me now? No, I'm not working.
Right, your
no,
brother is the named person on these company accounts.
This is not my problem. No. Darling, I've been here almost 20 years.
Right, illegally.
See, that's how they keep lying and make people of this country to hate immigrants from their lives.
People in this country want people smugglers who are
Yep,
convicted
that's
on really
why people hate
serious
immigrants.
crimes.
Oh, who's doing serious crime?
You were doing
Me? Really? You're doing serious crimes without any evidence. You just come to me. Go ask immigration and home office, when did man come to this country?
Yeah, I'm sure, but what name did you use when you came
Same
back
name.
in?
What
Tell
they
me what
have.
name.
Darling, I have one name here.
Tell me what name.
One name.
What name?
Go ask them.
Tell me
They
what
know
name.
my name.
Well, you won't give me your name.
Not you, because
Really?
I never did nothing and I don't care.
Twana Jamal denied working in the shop, despite us watching him do it for days. He denied building a chain of businesses and refused to give his name, saying the Home Office would know if he'd committed any offence. The Home Office told us it has a number of agreements with other countries to share criminal record information and that immigration enforcement is at its highest level in history.
Fucking brilliant. Based, stove, God, donate $2. What's the longest distance you've driven in a day? How many hours? I don't know about distance. I think like 6 hours has been my highest so far. Thanks for the donation, dude. That was when I moved from Guelph to here. I think that was about a 6-hour drive. Hey, Gum Gum. Got a kitty hanging out with me.
Well, they came in, one of the managers came in and she said, well, we have a back door. We can't make you stay. And I really felt like she said it because she didn't want inventory to get stolen, to be honest with you, because why would you want somebody to leap out of the store and you have an active shooter? That doesn't make
to get away from the active shooter. I don't know. I would have probably left.
common sense. But then some people, I guess, that are brave and were going to take their chances, they left. About 20 people did leave. About 20 people stayed, right?
Who wouldn't leave?
Right. So at the end of the day, they have no policy for active shooting, right? And it's really sad. It has to be a protocol. They
What? She thinks they let customers leave because they were worried about getting items stolen during an active shooting event? Okay, that's a little retarded. Wow, she's so good, singer, listen.
My name is Madeline Talent.
And who are you with? Malachi Martin.
You're breaking the joke. You know the rebel lessons I learned.
No, she sucks. No. That's not very good.
Hey, friends, you know, when we're talking about the Trump administration, the bill has come due. The cost to Americans, billions a year. Okay, we're talking about our allies, right? The net approval.
Dude, this is some retarded ass shit. By the way, this shit is all boomers. Literally 100% all boomers. Like anybody who knows fucking shit about this knows this is just a complete and utter fucking joke. The trade disputes that have been going on, Canada started it, France started it, Germany started it, all of these other European countries started it. So they were violating trade agreements long before Trump fucking started doing these tariffs, and that was the whole reason he started imposing these tariffs, because clearly, if they're violating the trade agreements, they have to renegotiate these trade agreements. And they pissed off Trump and the administration, so they slapped on these like stupid fucking tariffs. Trump probably shouldn't have done that because, again, it turned out to be unconstitutional and stuff. But again, these countries are the ones that started this fucking bullshit by violating the American trade agreements. Canada in particular, Kuzma. There's also, this comes from, like, there's so much ridiculous fucking left-wing bias in the Canadian media too. If you actually look at the figures, travel to the United States, if anything, has fucking increased. Canadians don't, in general, have an issue with the United States. And again, if you look at the mainstream media here, everyone fucking says, oh, you're going to get arrested by ICE. Americans hate you now. Stupid shit that has literally not affected travel to the United States. A lot of Canadians now, if they have enough money, they're just immigrating to the U.S. because Canada's a fucking shithole. Everyone knows Canada is just gonna become like the next fucking Europe. It's just gonna be a fucking toilet. They're letting in way too many fucking immigrants. Housing costs are just spiraling out of fucking control. We have the most insanely corrupt administration fucking imaginable. And now, like, even despite, like, boomers dying off, that might not even be enough to get a conservative victory because guess what? The liberals did what liberals do. They let in all the fucking immigrants who are obviously going to fucking vote liberal so that more of the stupid fucking immigrants come in and ruin the fucking country. So, Canada's just turning into an armpit. Anybody with fucking money is just leaving. Like, the idea that Canadians just in general dislike fucking the United States, just retarded.
Rating of Trump on tariffs. Look at this. In Canada, we're talking 65.
Great. Maybe the liberal government shouldn't have violated Kuzma and should have renegotiated Kuzma, but they didn't bother. First $22. Would love to see you debate that with Destiny so we can correct all your retarded shit rapid fire. Go talk to him about it. Oh, right. You mean like when I debated him before the election where him and his orbiters told me that the liberal government had a better plan for reducing housing costs? And then literally 2 months after the election, Carney's housing minister said they're literally not going to do anything to reduce the cost of housing, and just recently gave BC condo developers a massive fucking bailout because they're buddies with the Chinese fucking investors that paid into that fucking housing project. Oh, you mean like that? Right, okay. Uh-huh. It's fucking stupid. Ew, Destiny's so smart. He talks really fast. He goes bip, 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 bip. So he must know what he's saying. Right, okay. How did voting liberal work out? Fucking idiot. Let's see. Housing costs haven't been reduced. We have less fucking rights. The liberals are trying to ram through a bunch of legislation that violates constitutional rights like privacy, free speech. They've taken away a bunch of firearms rights for absolutely no fucking reason. And hopefully the Supreme Court just gives a Hail Mary and says it's unconstitutional. They're also like, oh my god, dude, the amount of corruption in the liberal government is just astounding. It's worse than Trump. Look at Carney's connections with Brookfield and all the stupid fucking infrastructure projects and the what is it? The CO2 carbon credits system that he's doing. It's insane. So Carney literally just became prime minister so he could enrich himself. That's it. And he's just fucking over all of Canada to do it. But, Destiny and his orbiters, the liberals have the best idea for how to make Canada more wealthy. Yeah, let's not renegotiate Kuzma. Let's just have everything become more expensive. Oh, what's that? We've been in a recession? The only G7 nation that's been in a recession? Yeah, the liberals have such great economic planning. Uh-huh. Right. Like, I give two fucking shits what Destiny has to say.
Hey,
I'm
friend.
totally done debating the guy. I'll look at these. Just a minute. Dodo donate $2. Ukrainian civilians fear dead after Russian ballistic missile strike residential buildings give. Yeah, well, you know. Figured Russia would strike Kyiv. They're just terrorists.
If you listen to Donald Trump, Donald Trump has a 40-word vocabulary that he uses in every single interview.
Give us a Trump sentence then, based on your own assessment of his vocabulary.
Well, ask me a complicated foreign policy question.
Destiny, what will you do to resolve
President
the
Trump.
trading deficit between the United States and the United Kingdom?
Okay, I can't do his accent, but the United Kingdom has treated us so horribly. And Biden was a sucker. They've taken advantage of us. We're being treated horribly by them. And I'm going to talk to them. And we're going to have the best deal. It's going to be so much for the United States. I've never seen so much as there's going to be for the United States. Illegal immigrants.
Yeah, it's That's about right. What is this? I don't get it.
Life, particularly if they get a bunch of hits. So if I get a bunch of trolls come through and call me on.
We've already reacted to this video. I deadlifted 500 pounds like... It's been like 5 or 6 years ago when I was still natural. I don't know where he got the idea that I can't deadlift 500.
Shy away from cooking up Mallory McMorrow hater memes for the day, because while she has not endorsed Abdullah Syed, I don't want her to endorse Haley Stevens either. So I'm going to keep my shit talking to a minimum, despite the fact that this person quite literally lost her race and had to drop out of the fucking race straight up because she came after the king and best not miss.
I have no idea what he's talking about. All right, thanks for the donation, Dodo. Fest donated $2. Destiny never said that. Well, maybe some guy in his Discord did, but can't be responsible for what other people say. Moron, go debate Destiny. Stop straw manning. Again, every single time I debate Destiny, all he does is bring his orbiters on. So what do you want me to do? Look at the last time I debated him on the Venezuelan-Iran thing. As soon as he started saying stupid shit, he brought in a bunch of orbiters to debate for him, and then what's the excuse? Well, Destiny didn't say that. Well, great. I don't fucking care. I'm not interested in debating a fucking retard who can't come up with any good arguments, then brings in a bunch of fucking dumb retarded orbiters who all blab, and then idiots like you say, oh, well, Destiny didn't say that. You only debated some guy that Destiny brought in because he couldn't make up an argument against you. So I go donate $2. Is this actually how Canada is?
In the lobby, I play Punjabi.
Great. No. I love how everybody makes every fucking video just ridiculously annoying. Yeah, it's great, and he just starts singing being annoying. Yeah, usually people don't start singing really annoying, but yeah, there's a lot of immigrants. Thanks for that donation, dude. Dodo donated $2. Destiny dodges you, but says he'll debate anybody. Yeah. How brainwashed are you guys? Dodges literally everyone. I will debate pretty much anyone. Yeah, operative being pretty much. You are literally one-on-one projecting his behavior onto me, avoids me like the plague, blah, blah, blah. Destiny avoids, basically everybody in Ask Yourself server, including Ask Yourself. And whenever he debates me, he just shuts up and then gets a bunch of his orbiters in to whine and cry. Disgusting people. Yep. Hopefully they both get blown up.
Hold my support for whoever wins between these two. Well, the reason why that matters is she was kind of running in the middle. You've got Haley Stevens over here at 30, almost 30%. She's supported by Chuck Schumer. She's much more an establishment candidate. You look at Abdul El Sayed, who we've talked about here. This is someone who's supported by Bernie Sanders, AOC, now Chris Van Hollen, which is kind of a big deal for that tenured of a...
Dude, the Democratic Party is just completely fucking cooked at this point. There's just going to be a bunch of college kids who completely and utterly ruin the country and make everybody broke. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Like a pacifier while drifting into a cozy sleep. What's truly mind-blowing is their power. Despite their small size, they possess one of the strongest bite forces per body mass of any mammal on Earth. Surprisingly, they also love soaking and splashing around in shallow water bowls just to cool off. But don't be fooled by their cuteness, because when they get excited or defensive, they will open their mouths wide and unleash a spine-chilling scream.
Wow.
This tiny creature hugging...
They look nice. They look really nice.
into your life. When you go to the mall and you go into the store and it's all nice and smelling, they got Abrahams wearing aprons doing like this to you, making you feel right, you know what I'm saying? It ain't right. The kissing there. Love me sweet. We have the oil for later. It's a beautiful kissing bear. Love Valentine's Day. Great for kids, great for adults. Where's their hood? Oh, they take, it's a titty. Feel how soft this is. Ooh, baby. I can see my sister, they might be holding hands with their love.
That guy literally make a commercial like that?
One night, it was late, I got off work, I was tired, I was hungry. I'm looking down the pasta aisle, and this guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, you really look nice." And I thought, that takes a lot of nerve, and that really impressed me.
I think daytime is better for a man to meet a woman, because in the morning, usually when he sees a woman, he's gonna see what he gets.
The perfect date for me is a ride in the country with the top down, and stop at a good Italian restaurant.
I like a nice smile. I like nice, clean, white teeth. The real test is when they turn around. I like butts. I like tight buns.
Why does it have a price on the thing? Is she in a store?
The real turn around. I like butts. I like tight buns. I really enjoy estate sales. I love furniture. I love antiques. The last estate sale I went to, I got a really good deal on it.
Good approach, I think, would probably just nonchalantly walk up to me and ask me, would you like a drink, or what you like to do, or where do you work. One thing that I hate the most is when you're out with a guy having a good time and he gets a little bit too drunk and embarrasses the shit out of you.
They recommended surgery.
Yeah.
So the one thing that nandrolone does, however, is, nandrolone is in many ways, it's a progestin. So it does bind to the progesterone receptor, although not with, high affinity, obviously. As compared to progesterone, what I saw is it binds about like 1/20th, the strength. But, again, if you're a bodybuilder and you're taking massive doses of nandrolone, there may be a significant progesterone effect. And it's thought that that might be part of the reason why bodybuilders and, other athletes, gym bros, taking big doses of DECA, in addition to maybe testosterone or other aromatizing androgens, they can still develop gynecomastia because there's some synergy between the progesterone effect and the estradiol that's coming from the other drugs that they're taking. And if they happen to be genetically prone to gynecomastia, that can be an issue. So it's a bit of a myth that you can take nandrolone and not develop gynecomastia, in particular if you're using it with other androgens that tend to aromatize. Most commonly, it comes in this decanoate ester. And as you guys know from some of my other videos, the type of ester that is attached to this particular steroid molecule largely dictates what its half-life is going to be. So this is just a pharmacokinetic curve here of nandrolone. This is what happens after 200 milligrams injected intramuscularly. You can see a nice big peak, as you would expect, and then you get this slow decline here. Generally by day 14, 15, 16, you're approaching what your prior baseline was. So a little bit longer looking curve than, say, testosterone cypionate or enanthate. So that's why DECA or nandrolone is typically dosed like once a week, although you can certainly do it twice a week. And that seems to be actually one of the more common protocols that I see these clinics doing is twice a week dosing. But you know, because of the decanoate ester, you can get away with doing it once a week, which is what I've been doing. Okay, so what are the, you know, obviously these clinics are using nandrolone off-label, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But there are some legitimate and long-standing uses for nandrolone. It just doesn't get used as much as perhaps it did in the past, even though there's a good literature base for it.
Which vegan cat food brand is the best? Benevo, Evolution, or Ami?
I think I've had the Amy wet food, and I've used the Benevo dry food and wet food. The wet food's for dogs and cats. I've had the Evolution dry food and the wet food. I found the Benevo dry food. The Benevo dry food's the best overall. My cats have seemed to prefer the taste of the Benevo more than all the others. As far as wet food goes, like it's you can occasionally just feed them wet food. Seems to be good for cats. It's just more expensive and a bit more of a pain in the ass to feed them. But yeah, I found the Benevos the best. Thanks for the donation, Jessica.
And I think you can make a case in many of these conditions that nandrolone is actually as good as or superior to some of the newer medications that are on the market. So it's all the stuff that you would expect, right? So treatment of like advanced cachexia, HIV wasting, you know, treating severe muscle and tissue wasting after severe burns, adjunct therapy with certain forms of anemia, such as chronic kidney disease. There's actually a lot of studies on that. You know, people that lose kidney function and end up on dialysis almost always develop a severe chronic anemia, and typically that's treated with like EPO shots and, you know, a number of other different treatments. Average age was 46. They used 48 men. Average duration was 62 days. And then the average nandrolone dose, they said, was 110 milligrams per week. So, like, you know, reasonably low dose, at least by bodybuilding standards. We'll cut to the chase here. 72.2% reported marked improvement in joint pain, and 27.8% reported a decreased need for long-standing pain medication. So that's fairly impressive. Amongst responding patients, pain scores were reduced by an average of 52%. So, you know, what is the pain score that they used? So this is the rheumatoid arthritis pain score. It has 4 components to it. It's a way to measure chronic pain, you know, and it was invented in the rheumatology world, but you can apply this obviously to other, you know, sources of pain. And so the four metrics they look at to measure chronic pain are the physiologic, the affective, sensory discriminative, and cognitive. And then they bundle those together and they give you a total score. And this chart says it all right here. In every single one of these different areas, nandrolone showed significant improvements, and then you can look at the total score at the end. They're markedly improved, right, with nandrolone. And this is important. You know, any of you guys that have suffered from chronic pain, you know, chronic pain is not just a sensory experience. It affects you emotionally. It affects you cognitively. It can change your personality over time. So dealing with, you know, chronic pain is a major issue in this country. It is, you know, it's not something that we treat very well, you know. Okay, so what are the cons? We're going to take a bit of a deep dive into this. Now, the one that you hear about all the time is erectile dysfunction, and they call it DECA-DIC, right? And that comes from the bodybuilding world. It's a bit of a myth. You know, it certainly can occur in high doses and definitely with monotherapy. And I think the reasons for it are fairly obvious. DHT is required to maintain proper sexual function. Well, if you're on nandrolone, you're going to get very low levels of DHT, right? Because it doesn't get converted to DHT. You also need healthy doses of estradiol in your system. And again, if your axis is shut down and you're on high doses of nandrolone as monotherapy, your estradiol levels are going to be markedly suppressed as well. So without those two, it's no surprise that you're going to suffer from erectile dysfunction. It's a bit of a myth that there is a persistent myth out there that DECA raises prolactin levels, and it's really not true. You hear that it caused that. When I looked to go see actual studies, all the studies that I could find showed no elevation in prolactin. So I think that's a bit of a myth that's just been kind of circulating out there in the bro world. So, DECA is not necessarily related to high prolactin levels, but is much more likely to be related to suboptimal DHT and estradiol levels. So that is not something that you can expect to encounter if you are taking this with testosterone, which is how these clinics are prescribing it. So let's review. This is just one of the few studies out there that at least they looked at human beings. The problem with this study is that it just wasn't done for very long. But they did use humans, and they used at least a much more reasonable dose. So this is from Clinical Endocrinology, 2007, Effects of Testosterone and Nandrolone on Cardiac Function, a randomized placebo-controlled study. So they took a group of healthy young men, and they gave them 200 milligrams of testosterone a week, and then also 200 milligrams of nandrolone. So again, higher than these clinics are prescribing. Many of them do prescribe 200 milligrams a week of testosterone, but 200 milligrams of nandrolone, at least from what I'm seeing out there, from what I'm hearing as feedback from you guys, is a bit high for what is currently being prescribed. So, but at least it's not the 10 milligrams per kilo that they're giving to the poor rats. So they put this group of relatively healthy young men on 200 milligrams of testosterone, 200 milligrams of nandrolone. They did it for 4 weeks, and then they did a whole bunch of comprehensive cardiac tests, including transthoracic echocardiograms to look at was there ventricular remodeling, were there any hemodynamic changes, were there changes in blood pressure, that sort of thing. And at least in this study with 200 milligrams of nandrolone, the conclusion here, 4 weeks of treatment with testosterone and nandrolone had no effect or adverse effects compared with placebo on cardiac function in healthy young men. Okay, again, major limitations to this study. I would be very curious to see what this would look like if they went. But what's interesting is that they actually did figure out the mechanism, and that's what I'm going to show you here. This is from a 2010 article, so 3 years later, Journal of Molecular and Cellular Cardiology. This is fascinating. So chronic treatment with anabolic steroids induces ventricular repolarization disturbances, cellular, ionic, and molecular mechanisms. So they not only looked at the structural effects of nandrolone on the heart in terms of valve functions and thickening of the ventricles, et cetera, but they did muscle biopsies, and they looked at the ion channels, and they measured the electrical activity of the heart, which the heart is an electrical organ, obviously, and they found some major effects from nandrolone. And again, massive doses, 10 milligrams per kilogram. So again, I'm over 100 kilograms, so for me this would be like over 1,000 milligrams of nandrolone a week, which is like a mind-boggling amount of nandrolone. But with that in mind, what they found was that it markedly changed the ability of the heart muscle cells to repolarize. So in order for a heart, cardiac muscle cell to contract, it has to receive a signal. It depolarizes, meaning these ion channels open up, sodium comes in, potassium comes out. You develop what's called an action potential that leads to the release of calcium, inside the muscle cell, which leads to contraction, and then it relaxes, it resets, so repolarizes, and then it happens. The cycle continues. Okay, it's a gross oversimplification. Okay, so this is what a cardiac action potential looks like. Here we have the left ventricle and the right ventricle. Interestingly enough, the effects of nandrolone were much more profound in the left ventricle than in the right. The left ventricle is much thicker. It's what's responsible for pumping blood systemically. So all of the tissues in your body, the right ventricle just transports blood, pumps it up through the lungs where it can pick up oxygen, comes around, goes to the left ventricle, and then off it goes. Cardiac myocyte. By some, I'm gonna speculate a little bit here, and some of you guys may have heard about this is a number of years ago. Rich Piana was a famous bodybuilder, famous like personality in the bodybuilding world, and again, this is pure speculation on my part, so not meant to disparage Rich or to bring any additional pain and suffering to his family. May he rest in peace. But allegedly, what happened with him, clearly he was very open about his anabolic steroid use. I it's likely. So, and quite frankly, given some of the dosages that he's talked about before, he probably had been using high doses of that. So again, this is pure speculation on my part. I don't know, but allegedly, what happened was that he may have snorted some pre-workout and then collapsed at home, had a cardiac arrest, and unfortunately, by the time he could be restored back into sinus rhythm, before he could get the Beazle-Jarisch reflex, which I hadn't heard about that in a very, very long time. This is from a 2011 article from the Canadian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology. So I'm not going to get into the Beazle-Jarisch reflex too much. It is a reflexive, like bradycardia, vasodilating process. It leads to hypotension in the setting of acute ischemia and sometimes acute reperfusion in inferior wall MI. Is they didn't have this compensatory reflex, to
this being published, and it's a case report, sadly, of a young bodybuilder that died suddenly. And it's an interesting case report. It's in the Egyptian Journal of Forensic Sciences.
Oh, Egyptian. There you go. Well, I already know exactly what happened here. This guy was taking massive doses of tren year round, and probably also other 19-nors like nandrolone. A lot of dudes in the Middle East use a lot of nandrolone and tren. For whatever reason, it's just a big thing there. I don't know if it has something to do with it being really cheap. But yeah, I can guarantee you this guy was just on like tren year round.
It was just published here in 2025, so it's fairly recent. They don't exactly say when this young man passed away, but presumably it was within the year prior to this being published. This is an interesting case because there's a lot more to this than meets the eye, in my opinion, and certainly a lot more to this than meets the title of the story, or the title of this case report, which is Sudden Cardiac Testosterone-Related Death Involving a Young Bodybuilder, Autopsy and Histopathological and Toxicological Findings. So what I mean by that is that a physician might look at this title, and the title is suggestive that the cause of this young man's death was testosterone. That testosterone directly led to his demise. And as we go through this,
he's probably on tren.
I'm certainly not going to say that testosterone and androgens in general didn't have a huge part to play in this young man's death, because as you'll see from the autopsy findings, there was definitely some heavy androgen use, and I suspect a lot more than just testosterone was being used by this young guy. But it's again, it's tempting to look at this title and just to say that this is a testosterone-related death. It's one more reason that testosterone is dangerous. But the reason I want to talk about this case is because this guy, as we go through this and we talk about, and I show you some of the things that this guy was taking and some of the things that we see on his autopsy, this is not that uncommon these days. This was unheard of. I'll tell you this. This was unheard of when I was coming up, like in high school in my early 20s, which, was in the late 80s and early 90s. So there's a lot more of these guys running around. I see them at my gym all the time, and I'm doing an increasing number of consults for guys that kind of fit this description. So these are young, they're amateur bodybuilders. They're not really even, I don't even consider them bodybuilders per se. They are, physique enthusiasts. They're guys that are taking performance enhancing drugs primarily for cosmetic benefit. They want to look better. Of course, they want to feel better, but it's primarily for cosmetic benefits. These guys are not competitive athletes, and they have no intention of ever getting on a bodybuilding stage and competing in bodybuilding, let alone power with cardiac arrests. Let's just say pretty regularly, like 3 last week, actually. So, this case is particularly tragic in my opinion, because again, I think it was totally preventable. And I hope some of you guys that may be going down the same road that this young man went down can maybe learn a little bit from this, maybe reconsider what you're doing, or at least tailor your early in the morning, as it was pronounced dead by an emergency physician a few minutes later after being called by his father. So immediately, I was a little bit confused by that statement. It doesn't sound like he was declared dead at the hospital, which is obviously that's almost always what happens. It sounds like his father knew somebody who was an emergency physician, came over to the house and was like, yeah, so use prior to his demise. But again, I don't know. It's left ambiguous here. So I wish they had given us a little bit more detail. Now, these are photos of the drugs that were found in this kid's.
I don't even know what some of this shit is. Yeah, like some of this is Egyptian or Middle Eastern name crap. That just looks like a over-the-counter fat burner. Testovis? I have no idea. That looks like a vial of something. That says Formidrol? Is that what that says? Let me see if I can find, some of this literally, just looks like, dumb supplements. So this Formidrol stuff, I clicked on one link and it just says it's a test booster. I don't know if that's actually a pro hormone. None of the shit is in English, and I also can't find a thing saying what's actually in the product. So either this is some garbage test booster or it's a pro hormone. I'm assuming it's like some dumb pro hormone. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a pro hormone. Yeah, this is coming different, okay, this company that sells this actually does in fact sell pro hormones. So who knows? Yeah.
Bedroom. Okay. And they just glance over this. They just took these pictures and they put them in the article, but they never named any of these. So I took the time and like I zoomed in on all of these, and some of them I just couldn't identify. Some of the blister packs are a little bit, it's just too blurry. You just can't tell. And remember, these drugs are from, this guy was in Egypt. So sometimes the drugs have different names. I'm learning that over here in the Gulf, that drugs that I'm used to seeing them under one name, they've got different names over here. So, but I did my best to put together a list, like what is all this crap, that this kid was taking. And so this is what I came up with. And again, there's some in here that are not identifiable, at least that I could not identify, and they're not mentioned in the article. And we're going to talk about this. This is really important. They say this was a testosterone related death. Well, listen, this death was related to a whole shitload of other drugs besides testosterone. So this is the list here that I found. So testosterone propionate was identified. There's nandrolone there, decadrablin, proviron, mesterolone, nebido.
Well, there you go. Why the fuck would he have been on proviron? What, like, I'm also confused why he'd be on test prop. People do the dumbest fucking shit, like, you cannot believe. Most of the people who do these drugs, like, literally don't know fucking anything about them, and they just do, like, the most nonsensical horse shit.
Which is testosterone undecanoate. There was thyroid, specifically T3 hormone, D-mannose, which is a supplement. So furosemide. So he had injectable furosemide, the 40 milligram per 4 ml vials. Why he had furosemide, I don't know, but furosemide is a very potent loop diuretic. It absolutely could have played a role in this kid's death, as I'll talk about. ECA Extreme, that was up on the top, ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin. So those of you guys that are my age, you remember the ECA stack that was super popular before it became really tough to get ephedrine in the U.S. at least. So this is a big deal back in the early like late 80s, early 90s as a fat burner. And you know, it allegedly worked pretty well as a fat burner. I'm a little embarrassed and ashamed to say that I would take an ECA tablet, right? I would get, you could get the 3. You know, I didn't get a combo product, but I would do 200 milligrams of caffeine, like the old Vivarin tablets, 25 milligrams of ephedrine, and a baby aspirin before I got on the rugby field. And and you know, when I was 19 years old, and I'll tell you, I could run like the wind, and it made me super aggressive. So it made me just want to smash people when I played rugby. So thank God I didn't have any adverse effects, but and I didn't know any better back then. I was only 19 and 20 years old in college. But this was very popular. But apparently, you know, it's obviously still available. Minoxidil is presumably taking that for hair loss. And then there was a box of Sustanon 250, which is super common worldwide. It's obviously very inexpensive, so there's a lot of Sustanon. And then it said there was a mixed testosterone ester injectable that I couldn't identify pretty well. It's probably just more Sustanon, but I wasn't sure. And then in the bottom right corner of one of those images is there's these 2 like milky white ampules. I don't know what those are. I've been told that those could be injectable stanozolol or Winstrol because it's milky white.
Oh man.
That's not my wheelhouse. So any of you guys that know what
fucking injectable Winstrol's the stupidest shit. If you want to get an infection or have some of the most horrific post-injection pain you've ever had in your life, yeah, use injectable Winstrol.
What injectable Winstrol looks like. If it looks like that white milky stuff, just let me know in the comments. But so this kid was taking a lot of stuff and a lot of different drugs. And so this is common. Like this is, you see polypharmacy with guys that are not even competitive athletes. And this guy's got a freaking pharmacy in his bedroom. So now moving on to the autopsy, I'll read just a little bit more. So, and I think this is important too. So the body was that of a well-muscled man, weight 87 kilos, which is about 190, like 191 pounds, height 176 centimeters. So I think that's about 5'9", 5'10", like right in that area. So external examination revealed needle marks on the upper outer quadrant of the right buttocks and the anterior part of the left forearm. Okay, so
what? Why? Why the fuck was he injecting shit into his forearm?
Right, so clearly he's doing intramuscular injections in the buttocks, and then now the anterior part of the left forearm, that's intravenous access. So.
Yeah. So he might have just been doing like weird party drugs or something.
So he's injecting something into his vein, presumably, because you're not going to do an intramuscular injection there in the anterior part of your left forearm. Like that doesn't make any sense. So perhaps he was injecting the Lasix, the furosemide. That's the only thing on that list that I can think of that he might be giving intravenously, because there's oral furosemide and then there's intravenous furosemide. And I use a ton of both. In the ER, I use a lot of intravenous furosemide. It's very potent when you give it IV. So that's my.
I have no idea why that guy would be on a crazy ass diuretic like that. Probably just a retard.
He guesses that's what those marks were from.
I know there are some like just nut jobs who are like unhinged who regularly use diuretics because they think it makes them look like more lean and shredded. But yeah, if you want to die, you know, do that.
So autopsy findings included pronounced muscle hypertrophy and hepatomegaly. But, you know, of course, for obvious reasons, like they're not going to show a picture of this guy. But, you know, I do want to comment. This guy, you know, 87 kilos, 191 pounds. It's not that impressive. Big. You know, again, he could have been really, really well muscled. You can obviously look really good at 5'9", 5'10", at 191. You can look really good. You can look really good with your shirt off, but that's not big enough for most guys. Like if you put him in a suit and tie, you can't tell that guy's jacked at all. So this is kind of a mediocre physique. I mean, this guy was not massively muscled in my opinion. Now, they say well muscled, but you know, who knows? It's a medical journal. Everybody's well muscled compared to the average medical doctor, right? That writes in journals like this. So this is not an impressive physique for a guy who's been using these drugs, presumably at very high dosages for many, many, many years, to, you know, end up dead with a physique that is just not that impressive. I mean, 191 pounds at 5'9", 5'10", like you're not really, unless you're shredded, you're not turning heads anywhere with that physique. I think that's a mediocre physique. I mean, you know, everybody has different genetics, but that was what I weighed. I'm 5'11". I'm a little bit tall. That's what I weighed when I was a junior in high school. You know, and I had a pretty good physique as a junior in high school as an athlete. So, but I weighed about 190, 191 pounds. So this is, you know, to die for a physique like that, I mean, totally unnecessary in my opinion. So more on that later, but let's move on to the actual interesting medical parts of his autopsy. So for those of you guys that like the medical nitty gritty stuff that I present, that's what we're going to get into. So this is his heart here. So this is a big heart. And this is something I've talked about this in other videos. This is almost a universal finding in guys who use performance enhancing drugs over a very long period of time, like this guy has, is cardiac hypertrophy is like, it would be surprising to find a deceased bodybuilder or even any bodybuilder that had been using drugs like this for this length of time that did not have cardiac hypertrophy. So in his case, I think.
Well, That's with just athletes, period. All athletes are going to have cardiac hypertrophy. There's just a range where it's a useful adaptation, and then there's a range where it's maladaptive.
I think because he wasn't like a mass monster, again, only 190 pounds, his heart was enlarged, but it wasn't massively enlarged like you see with some of these really big boys. So he was 470 gram total, total weight for his heart. Now, it's natural for athletes to have slightly bigger hearts. They're going to be a little bit more hypertrophied. It's a phenomenon called the athlete's heart. So with male athletes, there's obviously a wide range, but the typical male athlete's going to have a heart of it's going to be somewhere between 200 and 350 grams. There may be elite athletes at the very right side of the bell curve who are natural or presumably natural, where they're up in the the high 400s, but those get increasingly rare. So a 470 gram heart is right at the very super top of what you would expect for an athlete's heart, and usually well beyond the mean for a typical athlete's heart. So this guy had cardiomegaly. There's no doubt about it. And they mentioned he had petechiae on the posterior wall of the right ventricle, which is that circle there, is black area. So that's part of where he had an infarct. So he had a heart attack. Okay. The other part of the heart that's enlarged with anabolic steroid use and in athletes is the septum. So it's a big, thick strip of muscle. It's in between the right and the left ventricle. And about 13 millimeters is really the upper limit of normal for an athlete. Anything above that, you start to get a little bit more concerned. Depending on the source and the cardiologist you talk to, they might give you maybe a millimeter or so above that, maybe 2 millimeters. And he was right at the upper limit, so he was 13 millimeters. So this kid had a big heart. It was not gigantic like you see with the big boys, the 250 pounders that have passed away. They have massive hearts. So that's not this kid, but definitely his heart was bigger than it would have been, obviously, if he was a natural athlete. I feel pretty safe saying that in his particular case. Now, here's what was really bad about this. So I mentioned the petechiae on the posterior wall of the right ventricle. Now, he had triple vessel heart disease. So this guy had, at 28 years old, severe atherosclerosis. And so these are photos of his the main coronary arteries, left main, left circ, and the right coronary artery. And you can see the lumen there is very tight, very, very tight. So roughly, they said between 75 and 80% narrowing. This is advanced atherosclerosis for a young man. A young man at 28.
Be kind of more interested to see what his diet was like, because if the guy was trying to eat a lot of meat, not much vegetables, and I know some of the Middle Eastern cuisine, they have ghee, which is the clarified butter and shit. I wonder if that had more of a role to play with him dying.
Should not have coronary arteries that look like this. The only times you see this in non-PED using athletes are in people that have FH, familial hyperlipidemia, or they've got some other genetic syndrome where they have been,
or they're smokers,
having very high LDL/ApoB levels for many, 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 many years, oftentimes since childhood. And yeah, they get heart disease at an early age. And most of the time they're smoking on top of that. They're obese, they're inflamed, and they're pre-diabetic. So they've got the cocktail to grow atherosclerosis. That's when because I do see guys, I've coded young men in their late 20s and early 30s a lot more than I ever did in the US. I've done that here. And none of these guys were using anabolic steroids, but they were just bad genetics. They were inflamed, they were obese, they were either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and they smoked cigarettes. So they were basically literally doing everything wrong. Now, according to this kid's history, as far as we know, he didn't have any of those issues, right? But I will bet you that his lipids were skewed. I'll bet you because of his PED use, and maybe, again, he could have had a genetic syndrome too, but we just don't know. We don't know what this kid's lipids were. But you don't get coronary arteries that look like this, okay, if you have an LDL of 50 or 60. It just doesn't happen. You can have other problems, but you're not going to get atherosclerosis like this unless you've got significantly elevated LDL. Okay, so this is pretty bad. This is actually what led to his demise. But again, it's more nuanced than that. This kid, there's more to this that I'm going to share with you guys right now. So let's talk about the pathology, because they didn't mention any of this in the article, but this raised a few little red flags in my mind that they weren't telling us the whole story, and that some of those other drugs that we saw in the picture might actually have played a role in this, at least either directly or at least indirectly. So here they go. They say myocardial tissue examination revealed extensive myocardial necrosis. Okay, so dead heart muscle. Okay, so that's the area where the petechiae were probably, with hypercontracted myocytes showing disruption of the contractile apparatus, markedly thickened Z lines, and extremely short sarcomeres. So this is what happens with ischemic tissue. So this is a sign of calcium overload in the setting of acute ischemia. So the muscles were completely clamped down and tight, and you see that in situations where you have ischemia, where you have a lot of catecholamines, so a big epinephrine surge, or a surge of catecholamines from another source, or severe metabolic systemic stress of some kind. So this points to, most likely, when you look at his coronaries and you see these findings, so he likely had an acute MI, so acute myocardial infarction, which is plaque rupture, thrombus, occlusion of one or more of his coronary arteries, and then that led to a lethal arrhythmia, which is that's how people die of heart attacks, right? They get ischemic, the myocardium becomes irritable, and you end up with a lethal arrhythmia. They go into VFib, and then they die. So what's interesting though is, this tissue finding with the hypercontracted sarcomeres and things like that. And, I mentioned catecholamine excess as a cause for this. So you see this sometimes in autopsies of people that have died from cocaine use, amphetamines and methamphetamines. Ephedra, okay, ephedra is on the list of things that can cause this, and we know for a fact that he was taking ephedra. He was taking the ephedrine caffeine stack. So this kid had bad coronary disease. He ruptured a plaque, and then he had a massive amount of catecholamines likely that were in his system, and that contributed to a lethal arrhythmia. So again, these other drugs played a role. It wasn't just that he had heart disease. It wasn't just that he was taking testosterone and other anabolic steroids. Is his myocardium was not normal, and it was being exposed to these stimulant drugs. In addition to the T3, like this is one of the problems with this case study is, they did toxicology analysis on him, but they just tested for the drugs of abuse, as I'll mention here in a little bit, the typical stuff. So we know he wasn't abusing opiates and benzos and all that kind of stuff. So
Gaddy Klumpert donated $2. Was Steve Jobs retarded?
I'm sure many of you are familiar with the case of Steve Jobs.
Yeah. He had a form of cancer that could have been fairly easily treated, but he decided to not go with the standard treatment and try to deal with it naturally. But then when the cancer progressed, it was kind of too late.
Now, it's actually a very sad case because he was diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. It's actually a neuroendocrine tumor that secretes hormones. It was identified early enough to the point where the clinicians thought that he had a very good chance of curative treatment, right? Surviving a long time after if they acted quickly. Do you know what he chose to do? For 9 months, he refused conventional treatment.
Yeah, did he go on a raw juice cleanse or something?
To undergo a concoction of alternative therapies. It included things like acupuncture, detox teas, cleanses, fasting diets to try and cure pancreatic cancer, right?
I have no fucking idea what would have inspired him to do that, but he was vegan, so who knows? He might have been part of some retarded... There's retarded vegans who believe in stupid alternative medicine, but yeah. Imagine, oh, we could very easily cure your cancer. Yeah, I'm gonna go drink tea.
And we can't lie and say this is something that came from his loved ones or his doctor, right? This kind of narrative that you can cure aggressive cancers or any cancer in general from unproven, unscientific fasting trends and wellness fads, right? Unfortunately led to his prognosis being far worse than it probably would have been. That's one case of many thousands. I know personally, because I receive thousands of messages to my own personal inbox, of real people talking about their mother's cancer story, their father's. I'm sure many of you are familiar with.
Yeah, so he was a bit retarded. Thanks for the donation, Gaddy.
But they don't talk about the levels of ephedra. They don't mention his thyroid levels. They don't talk about, was he taking clenbuterol? Was he taking, other stuff like that? It's just not mentioned. Now, the other piece of evidence that goes along with this young man having a myocardial infarction followed by a lethal arrhythmia is the following finding that they described in his pathology report. And they say, there was a foci of myocardial disarray were observed with myocytes arranged in a star-like pattern, aligned obliquely or perpendicularly and connected by short hypertrophic myobridges with interwoven myofibrils, okay? What that basically means is that this young man, he definitely had pathological cardiac hypertrophy, okay? So this is what you see here with that. So this shows long-term hypertrophic remodeling of the heart, and then this pathology suggests it suggests an acute MI, so an acute MI, which is an ischemic insult, catecholamine toxicity in the setting of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and then likely a terminal lethal arrhythmia, which is kind of what you see here. This is an example of somebody who's in sinus.
No, never took any fat burning supplements back in the day. There were just all it was caffeine, and some of them had yohimbine in it or something. So they were just garbage.
This rhythm, and all of a sudden goes into what is called ventricular fibrillation. This is a rhythm that's not compatible with life, and if you enter into this rhythm, you need somebody to get you out of it, usually with electricity. Okay, so it's you're not going to come out of this generally on your own. So this is a terminal event right here. This is exactly what it looks like. I've seen this hundreds of times in my career. So now here's another little interesting part of this that I think is worth mentioning, and it's the following. It says immunohistochemical analysis of the heart samples demonstrated an intense, widespread positive reaction for beta-1 adrenergic receptors. So what they mean by that is that whatever this kid was doing, whatever he was taking, had upregulated the beta 1 receptors in his heart tissue. He had more beta 1 receptors than you would expect in somebody in a normal individual. So that potentially could make his heart tissue a bit more sensitive. We already know that he probably had excess catecholamines. He was definitely taking ephedra. He may have been taking other stimulants. He had an ischemic event, which is, can release catecholamines in and of itself. And now he's also got more receptors that are able to respond to that catecholamine surge, and that certainly could push him over into a lethal arrhythmia. What was interesting to me, though, is they said conversely, beta 2 adrenergic receptor expression was negative. So that doesn't only in the places where they looked. So that doesn't mean that he didn't also have upregulation of beta 2 in other places, but just in the places where they did the biopsy. So this is kind of an interesting finding because anabolic steroids, you guys may or may not be aware of this, anabolic steroids have an effect on beta 1 and beta 2 receptor expression. So we'll talk about that here in a second. Many of them upregulate both beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. So this could be, and I think it explains in large part why, especially in animal models, when you give high doses of synthetic androgens, things like nandrolone, et cetera, to lab rats, for example, they're way more prone to lethal arrhythmias than the control animals are. Okay, and it also might have something to do with the propensity for these professional bodybuilders. We seem to hear about a new bodybuilder dying, every few months, it seems like, whether it's an amateur or a pro. If they're taking stimulants, if they have an infarct and have a catecholamine surge, they take, too much pre-workout, for example, those substances are hitting a heart that is sensitized. Okay, they have increased number of beta 1 and beta 2 receptors, and that's a setup, I think, for a lethal arrhythmia. And
I didn't know that. That's good to know. I'll avoid crazy ass pre-workout stims and shit in the future.
So that's an interesting finding with this guy. This is an interesting study. I think I've talked about this one before from Life Sciences. Now, this is an animal study, specifically rats, but it looks at nandrolone, and they looked at their beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. After these rats were put on, fairly large amounts of nandrolone for a period of time, they sacrificed them and autopsied them and sent the tissue off. This one is effects of nandrolone and resistance training on the blood pressure, cardiac electrophysiology, and expression of atrial beta adrenergic receptors. So they looked at other things too. The rest of it is for another time, but there's definitely some downsides to nandrolone, especially if you're a rat. But presumably, I think it's probably safe to say that this translates over to humans. We just don't know for sure because we're likely to never get actual human data where we can biopsy people's hearts after they've been on nandrolone. But this is what they found, and this is a quote from the paper here. So, according to Stolt et al., 1999, the QTC interval may be prolonged due to increased vagal tone in physiologic cardiac hypertrophy. Okay, so just like normal physiologic cardiac hypertrophy, the QTC interval might be prolonged. You can look that up and see what it means. You can see it's a part of the ECG. But a prolonged QT, if it gets too long, it's associated with the development of lethal arrhythmias, sudden cardiac death, syncope, that sort of thing. It's like one of the first things I teach the residents to look for when we're working up somebody who has passed out or had a sudden cardiac arrest. If we get them back, we look at their ECG. It's one of the first things you want to do is look at that QT interval. So it goes on to say, however, it is crucial to emphasize that prolonged QTC interval associated to the combination between power training and high doses of anabolic steroids may reflect increased risk of malignant ventricular arrhythmias. So again, the mice that were put on nandrolone, their QT went like way more than just physiologic changes from like regular exercise. So nandrolone is known to do this. So in this particular study, so nandrolone increased both beta 1 and beta 2. What's interesting is that T3 also increases beta 1 and beta 2 receptors in the heart. And guess what this guy was taking, right? So we know nandrolone was found in his room. And of course, there was also T3 there, right? So he had two substances that could have upregulated his beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. Now it's interesting. Now the beta 2s were not upregulated in his autopsy. So, maybe he wasn't actively taking either one of those substances. We don't know because they didn't mention it in the toxicology report, but it's hard to know. But this is interesting. And you need to be aware of this. Like, having more beta 1 and beta 2 receptors is not necessarily a good thing, especially in your heart. It can predispose you to lethal arrhythmias potentially. And so be careful, right? Be careful. A lot of guys are using nandrolone and they're using it at high doses in the bodybuilding world. It could definitely be an issue still if you're using it low dose for arthritic pain. But obviously, like most things, I think the dose makes the poison. So, can I tell you that 25 or 50 milligrams of nandrolone per week is going to increase your risk of a lethal arrhythmia? I can't tell you that because we don't have any data on it. But we do know that when you give proportionally a lot more than that to rats, there's definitely an upregulation, and there's definitely an increase in arrhythmogenicity of their myocardium when they're on nandrolone. So just be aware of that. Now, the other thing that was interesting about this, so we mentioned that he had a lot of beta 1 receptors, but not very many beta 2. And this is not settled science by any stretch of the imagination, but we do know that testosterone can increase, just testosterone in and of itself can increase beta 1. There's maybe some evidence that it actually does not increase beta 2, either at all or as much. Like, it seems like nandrolone, they proportionally increase, roughly at the same rates. But it seems like perhaps, again, this is not settled science because we don't have the best human data on it, but it seems like testosterone does a little bit more. It upregulates beta 1, beta 2, maybe not so much. Again, I can't say that definitively, but that seems to be, there's some evidence that's the case. Now, and then the question I always have is, well, what about all these other anabolic steroid adjuncts that are so popular with the TRT clinics, like oxandrolone, stanozolol in some of these clinics, even oxymethylone, which is Anadrol. It's hard to believe that there's clinics out there actually like legitimately prescribing this stuff. Do these also upregulate beta 1 and beta 2, just like nandrolone? And the answer is we don't know. At least I don't know. I looked and I looked and I looked. I couldn't find any research on it. Any of you gurus out there, Vigor Steve, if you're watching this, if you're aware of any studies showing upregulation of beta 1, beta 2 with other synthetic androgens, I would love to know that, but I couldn't find any available data on it. But it makes sense that it probably would. Okay, I just couldn't find the data on it. I can't prove it. So anyway, very interesting findings in this kid's heart. He had an enlarged heart. His septum was upper limits of normal. He had a horrible triple vessel coronary disease, and he had high levels of beta 1 adrenergic receptors in the actual tissue. So that's a recipe for a disaster. And if things line up just right for him in the wrong way, that's a recipe for a lethal arrhythmia. And it kind of sounds like that's what happened, in this particular case. So he has some other interesting findings that again makes me wonder that there's probably more to this story. So when they looked at his liver, so they said his liver was enlarged. It said liver histology revealed multiple randomly distributed blood-filled cavities consistent with pileosis hepatis, resulting from sinusoidal wall rupture. Okay, I'll refer you. I have one of my videos where I talk about a case of this that I managed and diagnosed in the emergency department not that long ago. This is almost exclusively a result of oral anabolic steroid use. You don't typically see this with injectable testosterone. Okay, so I have a feeling, if this guy had pileosis hepatis, he probably was also taking oral anabolics. Now, there were no, as far as you know, no oral anabolics found in his stash in his bedroom, but these cysts, they don't just resolve overnight when you stop. So at some point, probably in the months prior to his death, he had at least been taking an oral agent of some kind. There's no way to know what it was because he wouldn't have developed pileosis if he hadn't been taking these drugs for a lengthy period of time. The only other possibility, there's case reports of this happening in women who take tamoxifen. So tamoxifen and birth control pills are associated with this. And so, yeah, I guess, he could have been taking tamoxifen. It's not that uncommon for bodybuilders to use that to block the estradiol receptor. So again, it wasn't found in his room. We'll probably never know, but this was suspicious to me. And it may also explain, if we had access, if we had a lipid panel on this guy, oral anabolics are notoriously terrible for your lipid panel. Some are obviously worse than others. So, I suspect he was probably taking oral agents. There's no way to know, but it looks very suspicious. And as I mentioned, the rest of his toxicology report was not very helpful. So they screened him for drugs of abuse, which I wasn't terribly worried about that, but at least there was no amphetamines or methamphetamines in there. They didn't mention ephedra metabolites or ephedra alkaloids, which I think was a shame because, if this kid, he was found dead in the early morning, if he had gotten up and popped a couple ephedra, caffeine, and aspirin tablets and got ready to go to the gym and then had his event like that, that's a plausible scenario for how he may have passed away. They mentioned that his testosterone levels were high. They didn't say how high. There was no mention, like I said, of his thyroid levels, so we don't know if he was hyperthyroid. There was T3 found in his room. I presume that he probably was taking it. And then most importantly, they didn't mention anything about his serum electrolyte levels. We know he was taking furosemide, right, or Lasix. Based on the track marks on his arm, I'm going to presume that he had been taking it, up in the time leading up to his death.
What a retarded thing to do. Taking intravenous drugs, just sucks. Injecting into the vein is way more of a pain in the ass than just doing something intramuscularly. So I don't know why the fuck that guy was on the IV diuretic.
He probably had been taking it. And so, again, that's another thing. You have severe hypokalemia, severe hypomagnesemia, low magnesium absolutely can predispose you to lethal arrhythmias. Both of those are notorious for that. Magnesium especially. Potassium's a big issue if it gets too high. Low potassium is bad as well, but there's no mention of that in his autopsy report. So, you can imagine, again, this is like the perfect storm for this kid. He has severe coronary disease. He ruptures a plaque. He has an MI. He has not only a catecholamine surge from the MI, but he also has catecholamines on board from ephedra that he'd been taking. He's hyperthyroid. He has a myocardium that is sensitized already with his increased beta 1 receptors. And by the way, he has critically low potassium or magnesium. Boom, he could, that's a recipe for ventricular fibrillation and sudden cardiac death, in my opinion. So I know I was going to say this earlier. I know some of you guys are going to be like, oh, he got the safe and effective. That's just another case of, dying of the safe and effective. I don't know if he got the safe and effective or not, but what we're seeing on his autopsy is not consistent with acute myocarditis. So, I'm not going to touch that one because we just don't know. He had plenty of other reasons to die, to have sudden cardiac death besides a vaccine-induced myocarditis or an arrhythmia from that. So, yeah, I know that's going to be in the comments, so I thought I would just at least mention it. In my opinion, I think it's unlikely. So anyway, so listen, that's the case. So what are the take-home points? I take off my doctor hat and just, talk to you guys as a regular guy and somebody who goes to the gym and obviously, lifts. I like to be big and strong. I always have, and I want to look good. But, there's a trend here, and the trend is polypharmacy. This is like I knew a lot of bodybuilders when I was in my early 20s, when I was in college, guys who were aspiring bodybuilders. I trained in a gym with a couple professionals, one of who was world famous. I knew him in his late 20s. And, I was always like, I stayed away from that stuff, but I knew these guys like relatively well. They were not doing what this kid was doing. And they're not doing what some of the young people that I see and talk to at the gym and that I do consults with, they were not taking the stuff that guys are taking these days. Like polypharmacy these days in bodybuilding is the norm. And I think it's totally unnecessary. As I've been saying over and over again, like all the combination of all these drugs, especially sustained over a period of time, like there's definitely synergistic negative effects, not just on the heart, but other organs too. But I focus mainly on the heart. And cardiac hypertrophy is a huge one, and early atherosclerosis is another huge one. And that's, again, if you look at autopsies of bodybuilders, even ones in their 20s, like this guy, like those are the two things.
I'm really not so sure how much steroids contribute to atherosclerosis, because, like, I know for a fact testosterone lowers your LDL. It also doesn't have a big impact on HDL. Most other steroids, they don't really impact LDL, and they just lower HDL. So HDL is a non-causal factor for heart disease, and if they're not going to elevate LDL, and again, in some cases they lower it, questionable how much it really would contribute. I would say like diet and lifestyle has more to do with it, because like again, all these dudes taking steroids, they're eating the dumbest fucking diets. Like they're having red meat every day because they think it'll help them get more gains. Lots of fucking meat, dairy, eggs, not a lot of fiber, vegetables. A lot of them will complain that they avoid eating fruits and vegetables because it lets them get in more food overall by avoiding fruits and vegetables. So I would imagine that has more to do with it than the steroids they're taking when you're talking about congestive heart disease.
Things that you see almost universally is cardiac hypertrophy and way more atherosclerosis than somebody should have for their age. And that's like universal. You see a lot of other things like organ enlargement and things like that as well, but like cardiac hypertrophy and atherosclerosis are like the norm. It's expected. So, the concerning thing about this and is most of the guys that are out there that are using these substances, they're on YouTube and they're subscribed to the Trend Twins, right? They're watching the Trend Twins and they're they're, God knows, I don't even know all the influencers because I don't care. Like I don't watch that kind of content. But who's the other guy? Dr. Tony Hughes. He's not a doctor, but and he's not even that huge. But he advocates some pretty crazy stuff with SARMs. And anyway, they're getting their information online.
Tony Hughes is literally evil.
And there's an inherent like mistrust of the medical system, which trust me, I get it. But these are guys that are doing these drugs and they're following the advices of online and in-person coaches.
Absolute fucktards.
Who they have no medical background, they have no understanding of the intricacies and the subtleties of these drugs. All these drugs have like most of them anyway have legitimate medical uses, but they don't understand the synergy and the polypharmacy, and that's a huge problem. And so again, I do consults for these guys. They have been lifting. A good example is guys that are they have been training hard for about 2 years, and their coach has got them on like a combination of peptides, supplements, which I obviously don't have an issue with, and even the peptides I don't have a huge issue with that. But they're taking like 600 to 1,000 milligrams total androgens, load per week, split between testosterone, nandrolone, boldenone, whatever. And it's insane. Like 2 years into training, it's not necessary. And the other like almost universal thing with these guys is they all have mediocre physiques. They really do. None of these guys are super jacked at all, but they're taking dosages of drugs that, if you look back like the guys in the 1970s, like it's way more excessive than even the professionals allegedly were using, back in the day. So this is Tom Platz here, the guy I used to look up to back in the day. This is, I don't know, very young in this picture on the left, probably as a teenager. Great physique as a teenager. Clearly he hadn't developed the legs yet like he was famous for later. And, this is a quote from him about his drug cycle. So I got to tell you, though, because it's on my mind, and nobody is going to believe me, including me. I don't actually believe this, but I'll talk.
Yeah, he's lying and making it up. He did not do this. 20 milligrams Winstrol a day. So that would be 140 a week. And then nandrolone, 100 milligrams a week. That was my life's drug cycle. Sure. Right. So he's saying he's on 240 milligrams total androgens, per week. 240s, like again, we're talking about testosterone. A lot of dudes are on TRT on that dose. Like, this isn't testosterone, but he's talking about like the same level of total androgens that somebody on TRT would be on. He's also not taking any testosterone, which I don't know how you live like that. Yeah, he says I never took testosterone. Sure. Sure you didn't. Back when he was competing, there weren't any aromatase inhibitors. So a lot of the dudes did avoid testosterone when they were doing some of their cycles, when they're like blasting, trying to gain weight and stuff, or preparing for a show. So they'd rely on things like Dianabol, Primobolan, Nandrolone, shit like that, because if they use testosterone, then they could get gyno, and then, you know, they'd have to get surgery. And I don't know when the surgery even came out for that. But yeah, the idea that he'd never at any point take testosterone, sure. He's just full of shit.
Talk about that. They're not going to believe me when they hear this. 20 milligrams of Winstrol a day, the little pills, the little pink pills, and 1 shot of Deca, 100 milligrams a week. So that's my life's drug cycle. That's it. That's all I ever did. I never took testosterone. I never took any of these designer drugs. I took the very minimum. I took less than the girls would take. That's actually true, but it really worked for me. It worked for me. So anyway, you know, that's what Tom Platz is on record saying. And he built this physique with that kind of a drug cycle, which, yeah, like
he
this
didn't.
Is what a woman would take these days. This is nothing. The guys, you know, you can add a 0 to that for the Deca dose for some of what these guys in the gym are taking. And honestly, these guys, the ones that I know, they don't like they look worse than his before picture. Like, they're not as big as.
Again, Tom Platz was taking a lot more than what he fucking claimed there.
Pre-steroid Tom Platz. And, you know, I think it's important to say these pro bodybuilders, you know, Arnold and Tom and these other guys, Mike Menser, these guys back in the day, clearly had phenomenal genetics, you know, and there is a genetic component to how you respond to androgens. You know, there are guys, I had a buddy in college who.
Yeah, Larry Pollock, he said when he was training with Mike Menser, him and Mike would take nandrolone phenylpropionate, 300 milligrams, 3 days a week. So that's nearly a gram for the entire week. That injection would also have to be really fucking annoying too, because nandrolone phenylpropionate is dosed at 100 milligrams per mil. So, to get 300 milligrams, that would be 3 fucking mils in one shot. That'd be pretty annoying. That, like, you'd have to inject that into your ass, or like split it up in multiple doses in like your shoulders and then your butt cheeks or something. But yeah, if you're just injecting that, like, even just into your glute, you'd probably feel a bit of a knot for a while before that dissipates. So again, Mike Menser, training with Larry Pollock. This was kind of at the downturn of his career when he became a meth addict. But he was taking a fucking, like, nearly a gram a week of nandrolone. So, like, the idea that fucking Tom Platz would only be taking 240 milligrams of shit a week, it's just fucking retarded. And Tom Platz wasn't Mr. Olympia. He wasn't, like, you know, the top guy. You also have to figure, okay, if dudes like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mike Menser and all this shit, if they're beating him and he's only taking so much gear and they're taking more than him, you'd think, oh, well, maybe I should take more steroids. And, like, everyone has their own tolerance for things. Like, I'm not saying he took more or less than anybody else, but it's like, there's just no fucking way this guy was only taking 240 milligrams of shit at any point. Like, fuck right off.
Who was, you know, just a classic ectomorph, the poor guy, but he wanted to be a bodybuilder so bad. And he took so many steroids. I don't even know all the stuff that he took, but I do know that one day he showed up in the gym and his eyes were yellow. He was jaundiced. And I didn't know what that was back at the time, but I knew it wasn't good. And he may have been lucky. It may have been lucky if he had put on like legitimately 10 pounds of muscle within a year of heavy steroid use. He just didn't have the genes for it. So that's just the unfortunate reality. Like, if you want to look like a pro bodybuilder, unless you have the genetics for it, I don't care how many drugs you take, what dosages, et cetera, it's just not going to happen for you. But getting back to Tom Platz, that's what he said his steroid regimen was. Arnold here is on record as saying that he took 100 milligrams of testosterone per week plus 15 milligrams of Dianabol daily.
Dude, this is total bullshit. I think one of his old coaches actually came out with what he was actually taking. I'm pretty sure he was taking something like 600 milligrams of Deca and another like 400 of Primo. So he was on like about a gram, if not more. So no. That, like, dude, 100 milligrams of test isn't even a replacement dose. So wait, let me back
Pro
up
bodybuilder,
again.
unless you have the genetics for it, I don't care how many drugs you take, what dosages, et cetera.
Well, I remember Schwarzenegger, even like I might have been Schwarzenegger or maybe a training partner of him, some shit. They were making a joke that he would like eat Dianabol tablets like Skittles. I think they came in like 5 milligram tabs or something. So like if you wanted to take like 50 a day or something, you ended up having to take a lot of tabs. So like this is just bullshit.
It's just not going to happen for you. But getting back to Tom Platz, that's what he said per week plus 15 milligrams. As Arnold here is on record as saying that he took 100 milligrams of testosterone per week plus 15 milligrams of Dianabol daily.
Yeah, no, just absolutely no chance.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Maybe he took that when he was 15, like, but no.
Okay, I'm not naive, right? Like, look at the physiques on these guys. However, multiply it by 5, okay, which is probably more realistic, and you're still not approaching the dosages that teenagers and these amateur physique enthusiasts at the gym are taking in their early 20s. And again,
you're never gonna find an IFBB pro that's like taking less than a gram of gear per week. Like at least when you're talking about peak doses. So during massing phases or during phases for preparing for a competition, absolutely none of them are on less than a gram. Just doesn't happen. So yeah, if you're seeing a physique like this, yeah, they're going to be on about a gram when you're talking about peak doses. Now, they may have periods of time where they're off completely. There may be periods of time when they're on very low doses because they're not trying to build, they're just trying to like maintain a good healthy state. But yeah, when you're talking about peak dosages to get as big as they are, it's a gram and up that they're taking.
If they're lucky, they look as good as Tom Platz did in his.
So I mean, like, I've been totally transparent with the shit I've been taking. Where's the? Yeah, there we go.
Well, I was planning.
I was technically not on anything here. I was off for, I think this was a week and a half. I was off everything. Doesn't matter because like drugs are still in your system. But I was on 525 test, 105 milligrams Boldnone. I was running that for the last like 4 months. And then the last 2 weeks before I went to Australia, I added in 200 milligrams of Masteron and Enthate. And that combined with 5 IUs or 5.5 IUs of growth hormone on training days. And that's gotten me this big so far. So, like again, so that's what, like 730 or 740 milligrams total androgens. So yeah, like Tom Platz and Arnold Schwarzenegger, they may have better genetics than me and everything, but the idea that they could take literally what, a third of what I'm taking and being that much bigger, like no. It ain't fucking happening. No fucking chance. Maybe I could believe it with Ronnie Coleman, maybe, but like, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Platz, just not happening.
In his pre-photo here. Most of them do not. Most of the ones that I know that I work with.
Yes, I'm on Tren right now.
They would be thrilled to look like Tom Platz, and they are taking Tren in order to look like pre-steroid Tom Platz. So, I think that's a shame. It's just, is it really worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to be dead at age 28 of a myocardial infarction so that you can be 5'9" and weigh 190 pounds, soaking wet?
The way he says that is just hilarious. Most people are like fucking stupid. Who knows? Like this guy was probably eating like a retard, not doing cardio. Probably the dumbest drug stack you could possibly imagine. Like this guy was taking intravenous fucking diuretics. Like who the fuck does that? There's probably a lot of shit going on that made this guy die so young. The degree to which he had like stenosis in his arteries was just crazy. Like I don't know if some of that was also a genetic thing.
Like I just I don't know. To each their own. You guys have got to look at that risk reward equation and decide for yourself. I clearly do not think it's worth it. I strongly encourage you not to do that. The fact of the matter is, if you're patient, I say this a lot. Even let's just say you're a TRT dose of, or even we can say sport TRT. Let's say you're taking 250 or 300 milligrams of testosterone. Okay, which again it's a bit much for TRT, but let's just assume that. If you do everything else right and you're patient and you learn how to train properly and you follow a consistent diet, consistency is the key to this. It's you do the right things, all the right things, which are each individually very small. You do all of them together every single day, 7 days a week. And if you're patient, you can build an outstanding physique. You really can. Unless you're, again, there's people that just there are winners of the genetic lottery and then there are losers of the genetic lottery. But that doesn't mean that you still can't make progress. Like everybody can maximize their genetic potential if they apply the right stimulus over the proper period of time. But again, this is the TikTok generation, right? The TikTok world that we live in. These guys are hopping on gear like a year into training, 6 months into training, and they're not like dipping their foot in the water, right? They're going online and they're looking at what the pros take and they're trying to do that themselves. So this is these guys that literally have been lifting for 1 or 2 years are on 1,000 milligrams of combined androgens, some of which includes trenbolone, which is just insane. And I look at these guys and, like, again, mediocre average physiques, absolutely average physiques. And excuse me, if they had just been patient, if they'd taken the time to learn how to train, they could have not only achieved the physique that they have now without all the health problems, but they could have exceeded that. And that's something that I think it's totally lost on this generation. You need to, if you're, let's just say if you're a 16-year-old kid out there, you know what? You need to hunker down for 5, 6, 7 years. You just hunker down in the gym, you eat like you're supposed to, you train like you're supposed to, stay away from drugs like this, and you'll come out the other end of that with a very respectable physique. You'll have your health intact, and you'll be so much better off for it because you will have gotten there using applied knowledge and skill. And the self-esteem boost that you get from that is something that you can't put into words. So I strongly encourage, if you're tempted to go down the path that this young man did, I'd like you to think about this case. And if you've already gone down this path, like this will be the final thing here. If you've already gone down this path, and this is something you want to do, okay, I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but for God's sakes, like find a doctor who understands what you're doing and get your health monitored. Okay, these are preventable.
Doctors are literally fucking retarded. Literally fucking retarded. It's genuinely shocking just how stupid and dumb and how little any doctor fucking knows about anything. Just useless fucking assholes. Practically all of them. All right. Let's suffer a little bit. Just a little bit of suffering. uh. So I don't think I put a save state for the next level. There's that trick to skip some of the stupid thing, and I wanted a bit more practice on this boss. Damn it! Oh my god, that drives me nuts. Ah, great. Okay, I'm very tempted to just try to end this as quickly as possible. Something about this eats away at my patience. Crap! Can't fucking believe that. Fucking motherfuck shit. How did he hit me when I was already on the ground? That's cheap. Damn it. Oh my god, that was so stupid. Let me do that again. I'll just play it cool this time. Damn it. What a load of bullshit. That is literally fucking bullshit. Fuck. Oh my god, that's... fucking asshole. Okay. I don't. Shit! Fucking bullcrap. Oh my god. I keep getting impatient and then doing dumb shit. Come on. The control, it didn't do the body check thing that I wanted. It's, Fuck off. Yeah, great.
Bro, you made $60 tonight. Good job. I think at this rate you can pay for 25% of your monthly expenses. Never talk about money or finances on your channel ever again. Don't ever call anyone broke when you're the most broke. It's
yeah,
just
because
cringe.
starting a stream at 2 in the morning is gonna make me the same amount of money as starting it at like 8. Thanks, dude. Fuck off! Oh my god. What an asshole. Oh my god, what an asshole. Oh, what a dickhead. What a fucking asshole. Oh my god. Great. Yeah. I don't know why it won't do the body check sometimes. Ugh! Fuck you, bitch. Benboy Donny Tellers, my friend AI wants to know what your favorite pickup line for the bitches is. I don't really have pickup lines. Thanks for the donation, dude. Fuck! Oh my god, I'm trying to juggle him the whole time. So I'm like too impatient to just do this normally. Oh my god, fucking stupid. Give me a fucking break. Oh man. Yeah, my fucking ADHD riddled brain just has trouble taking the time to do shit. God damn it! Oh my god, did you see that? Fuck, that's irritating. I hate how when he's like directly over you, you can't still do the body check. Yeah, just ugh. Why don't I play a Souls game? Because they suck. Not really into waiting 10 minutes for an enemy to attack me and then just sidestep him and then do the dumb counter move behind its back and rinse repeat over and over again. Like, Dark Souls just isn't fucking good. That is the game literally just fucked me up. That was bullshit. That was bullshit too. Great. Oh my god. So fucking dumb. Yeah. It's really, hard to, get the body check thing consistent. Sometimes it just doesn't want to do it and it does a punch or something instead. It did it again. Elden Ring is exactly like Dark Souls 3, just open world. It's nearly identical. I don't know where you got that idea. And yeah, Black Myth Wukong sucks. It's Elder Scrolls, or not Elder Scrolls. It's Dark Souls for retards. Fuck off, dude! Oh, what a load of bullshit! God damn it. Oh man, fuck you. That was such a good, yeah, Bloodborne's just shit. Pure garbage. Yeah, I played Outlast, it sucks. Boring as shit game. God damn it. Dude, I'm actually, I don't know if I can handle this much longer. Fucking horseshit. Just fucking horseshit. Yes, I fucking played Space Marine 2. Great. Oh my god. Fucking fuck shit. Mistimed it. Most annoying game you've ever played. Life. There's nothing more annoying than the game of life. Oh, bullshit. Ah, crap. If the game looks boring, then get the fuck out of my chat, faggot. Oh. Absolute dog shit. Yeah. Fucking shit. Great. A lot. You have to hit him a lot. Fucking horseshit. Great. Fucking... Just want to be able to kill them all in one go with a juggle. It's... Great. Fuck off. Okay, that makes sense. Shit. Fucking bullshit. Yeah. Fuck off. I can't fucking believe that. Fuck you. What a load of bullshit. Oh my god. I was right at the end, too. It didn't run. Great. Oh, gay. He cheated. That was totally a cheat. Fuck, dude. He's got to be. He had to have been at like one hit there. Ugh. Great. Great. I don't know if I should get a different controller, maybe with a better D-pad. It's like occasionally I'll drop the combo basically because it just won't do the sprint when I want it to. There we go. Damn it! I'm wondering if this skipped the stupid, Damn it! Fuck! Okay, we gotta do that again. I think that might have skipped the dumb wheel thing that like fucks you up like crazy. Fuck me, dude. Damn it. Okay, after I'm done with this asshole, I'll just make a save state. Oh! I got screwed there. Damn it. Just getting greedy. Oh. What a fucking asshole. What a fucking asshole. Well, I kind of need more practice on this boss. This is the first boss of the game that's, like, difficult at all. Like, he is a bit tricky. The real difficulty for me with this boss is just having enough patience to not be retarded. Ugh. Damn it! It's so fucking stupid. Oh, I'm stupid. I can't fucking believe that. Like, and he was at 1, too. What a bitch. So I'm curious how far this goes. Yeah, because I swear this is the point where you have the dumb thing. The cog thing that goes after you. Maybe I'm wrong? Yeah, and then you have to... Fucking stupid. If you bypass that dumb wheel thing, that'd be fucking awesome. This game is so fucked, like actually fucked. That's interesting. Does shit not spawn in properly? Yeah, items aren't spawning in where they should. That's weird. Wait, let me see if there's a... I don't know if you can, like, even do this. If this is possible. So I'm pretty sure there you're supposed to have, like, one of those propellers. But the good thing with this is it looks like the enemies aren't spawning in, so you can just, like, make your way through. Which is fucking dope. This makes it like a fucking breeze to get through this. Like, the problem is you have to, like, really fucking know what you're doing here, or else you're screwed. Yeah, then it just starts you right at the very beginning. I'm pretty sure... Fuck. I'm pretty sure, there would have been a checkpoint earlier on. Fuck. 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 Oh my god. Fuck. And again, just one fuck up here right at the very beginning again. Oh my god. Yeah, this isn't possible. Let's do this again. Do a save state right when we beat the guy. Yeah, that was bullshit. He cheated there. Great, yeah. Uh-huh. Can you imagine being such an asshole? Can you, like, actually imagine? Okay, I should have the save state there. We're gonna have to, like, fuck around with this a bit. I'm not entirely sure where the most ideal spot would be to get the fuck out of here. And I think this is the same... Yeah, this is the same problem area. God damn it! I don't know where I should pop out. Oh, shit. What an asshole. Did you see that fucking cunt? What an actual dickhead. Fucking enemies in this game. Okay, let me try something else. Shit! So I'm assuming the enemies spawn in now, and there's the dumbass cog things that we have to run from. Oh, yes. Yes. Dude, this game fucking cheats. What the fuck was that? What? Did they all break? I'm wondering if that's a consistent glitch. Because if they all broke... Oh shit, we soft-locked the game. Yeah, it soft-locked the game. Yeah, the thing won't move, so it's soft-locked. Okay, we're gonna have to, I guess, do this legit or something. Or find a better way to cheat. Shit! What an asshole. Crap, I forgot to press the button. Oh shit. Dude, that's so stupid. I love how they put enemies that can kill you in one hit behind foreground objects. Just absolute fucking horseshit. Like, that is actually bullshit, and you can suck my dick. What an asshole. What a fucking asshole. This game is just fucking intolerable, dude. I'll put the save state here, just so we can, like, fuck around with this more, maybe. Fuck. Oh my god. Ah. God damn it. shit. Okay, whatever. Great. Okay, and I forgot. Yeah, I think that's gonna end up soft locking the game every time. Yep, man, that's not moving. Alrighty then. I guess we have to do this without cheating. Unless... What's that level? Yeah, what's this level called?
There's an easy short, but you need to hit him, I think, about 21 times, and that will finish him off, and we'll be on to stage 9, the Terra Tubes.
What the fuck? Checkpoint glitch. Why is it... Alright, is this the exact same video, just with the guy re-uploading it and naming it something else? What? This is just fucking retarded. Yeah, so that skip does create that problem where you don't have the propeller. Okay, so he was demonstrating a glitch where you'll fuck the game up. It's not really useful. This game is ridiculously fucking hard, man. Holy crap. It is hard. Oh, good. Okay. You know, yeah, I hate this. Yeah, this is awful. Oh my god. Fuck. Oh boy. Damn it! Oh my god. What a shitload of fuck, dude. Oh my god, yeah. Great, yeah. Okay. Let's fuck it. Ugh. We'll sort that out next time. All right. I'm gonna go, you know, but hope you all had fun. Big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. I'll be on tomorrow at a normal time. I was fucked up and shit today because I didn't eat enough the day before, then I just slept like crazy. But everything should be fine now. So I'll probably be on earlier tomorrow. We'll react to Ments and such. But big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. Nighty night. See you tomorrow.